To this computer. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our reading of Groundhog Day. Yes, Groundhog Day, Groundhog Day, Groundhog Day. I had to say it a couple times. We've got a lovely group of people here. We're all kind of playing different parts. I'm Anne, of course. I will be playing Rita and Larry and a bunch of other random people. We've got Rudy doing scene description for us today, if I can learn to speak. Jeremy is going to be our Phil. And then we've got Travis. He's going to be Holly and one of our DJs and many others. Alexis is going to be kind of like all the women. It's kind of amazing. And then we've got Logan. He's going to be Ned and Alex Trebek. Most importantly, he's going to be Alex Trebek. We've got George. He's going to be Buster and the DJ sidekick. And again, did I leave out anybody? I got everybody, right?
All right.
Kate is going to be Nancy and the other women. I split up the women in two things. This is what happens when I skip over my list. All right. Anyway, Rudy, take us away.
Groundhog Day by Danny Rubin. Fade in, hibernating groundhogs. A family of groundhogs is nestled together in their burrow, sleeping off the end of a long winter. Roll credits and theme music dissolve to exterior, a forest clearing. Early morning. The crust of an old snowfall still covers the frozen ground, and the bare, icy branches of the trees glisten dully in the early morning light. Interior TV studio, same time. Phil Connors is standing in front of a blank green wall, gesticulating animatedly at some invisible images on the wall, talking a mile a minute. He looks completely crazy as he points at nothing and winks to an unseen audience. Exterior, Western Pennsylvania, same time. Credits continue as we streak across the winter landscape, flying over fields and farms, small towns and hamlets, railroad lines and interstates, coal yards, factories, until we cross the Allegheny River and follow it to the southwest. Interior TV studio, same time. Phil continues, pointing out features on the blank wall. But from a new angle, we can see that he's looking at a monitor out of the corner of his eye, which shows the chroma key insert. He's pointing to a national weather map. Exterior near Pittsburgh, same time. The country towns turn to suburbs. Traffic on the roads get heavier, and finally, at the confluence of the Allegheny with the Monongahela and the Ohio, we see the defunct steel mills and the downtown skyline of Pittsburgh. We zoom into a tall building and dissolve to interior TV studio morning. As the credits end, we enter the studio of the Channel 9 Action News. From the look of it, a typical big city local news operation. A logo on the wall identifies the station as WPGH Pittsburgh. The news has just ended, and some of the personnel are still lingering in the studio. Jill Hawley, executive producer of the Action News, comes out on the floor.
Has anybody seen Phil?
A technician points to the news desk. We can see a pair of legs sticking out from behind it. Holly looks back there and finds Phil Connors, the Action News weatherman, asleep on the floor.
Phil. Hey, Phil, wake up.
Never mix ouzo and schnapps. First of all, you have to take a cab, and second of all,
He falls back asleep.
Phil.
do you mind? I'm trying to meditate. I'm in a trance, coming up with my 5 o'clock forecast.
Yeah, what'd you come up with so far?
Phil yawns and slowly gets to his feet. He's in his mid-30s, smart, rugged looking, perhaps a little too full of himself, but clearly a guy with a lot of personality.
So far, I got dark tonight, gradually turning to light in the morning, except for those military personnel stationed above the Arctic Circle.
What about that blizzard?
Phil points to a chart which is headed Phil's Forecast with a PH, with a cute caricature of himself drawn next to the title.
Forget the blizzard. All that moisture coming up from Gulf is going to miss us completely and paralyze Harrisburg.
Good, because you're going up to Punxsutawney to cover the Groundhog story tomorrow morning, and I want you back here in time to do the 5.
Jesus, Gil, give me a break, will you? I covered the goddamn groundhog last year and the year before that.
And you'll do it next year and the year after too. When I worked in San Diego, I covered the Swallows coming back to Capistrano for 10 years in a row.
You should have killed the guy who made you do that.
I wanted to do it.
Then you should have killed yourself, and I'm not going to get stuck with the groundhog for the rest of my life.
It's a cute story. He comes out, he looks around, he wrinkles up his little nose, he sniffs around, he sees a shadow, he doesn't see a shadow. It's nice, people like it.
Many people are morons.
Just do it.
I will do it, because it amuses me.
Good boy, Phil.
Holly looks across the studio and sees Rita Hansen enter, a very attractive segment producer in her late 20s. He calls her over.
Rita, could you come here for a second? I got a little job for you.
Rita is relatively new to the station, but very competent, personable, humorous, self-assured, and very pretty. In short, a genuine princess, though Phil is too self-absorbed at this point to realize it.
You can't send Rita on a story like this. She's just a cow of a pop, still wet behind the ears. Look at her. Her ears are sopping wet. This needs a Woodward or a Bernstein. It's a big story. People need to know.
What's the story?
Please. Oh,
Please, no.
the Puxatawny Groundhog.
Sorry. Gil.
Sorry, Gil. I'm
Oh.
working on the nurses' strike.
What did I tell you?
You can do the nurses when you get back.
I'll help
you.
you.
Can do the nurses when you get back. Excuse me.
I'll help you.
Just take the squeaky wheel here up to Punxsutawney and get him back in one piece. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Holly exits, leaving Phil and Rita alone in the studio. She knows Phil mainly by his reputation, and it isn't good. Still, she finds him appealing in an odd way.
You know, this could be extremely interesting.
I've never done a weather story before. What's Puxatawny like?
Oh, gee, it's an enchanted place. A magical world. It's the Constantinople of the entire Western Appalachian Susquehanna drainage.
Do you always joke?
No, about 70 to 80% of the time inside I'm a very shy and sensitive person, so I can't.
A lot of people around here think you're not very sincere.
Well, I hope I've convinced you.
I'll line up the crew and transportation. We can all go up in the van together.
I think I'll take my own car. I'm not that fond of my fellow man.
Nice attitude.
Nice face. Why don't you ride up with me?
No thanks.
Stephanie DeCastro, an attractive, dark-eyed, dark-haired correspondent, glares at Phil from across the studio. Interior, Phil's office. Later, Phil is in his cluttered cubicle, talking on a headset phone while he reviews cassettes of his groundhog spots from the past 2 years on a small monitor. As he talks, he stuffs a number of personal items in an overnight bag, all the time watching himself on the TV monitor.
They don't really think of me as a weatherman around here, more of a personality, but with the credibility of a first-class broadcast journalist. Once you look at my tape, I think you'll see what they mean.
Stephanie enters and stands in the doorway looking at Phil for a long moment. There is something vaguely off-center about this woman, not quite fatal attraction, but still a little scary.
I just want you to know one thing. Did I do something wrong, or you just tired of me, or what? I have to know.
Phil sighs.
Dan, can I call you back? I've just been handed something very hot. About to break. I better get on it. Okay, thanks.
He takes off the headset, gets up, and closes the door for privacy.
You didn't do anything wrong, Stephanie. I'm not tired of you. It's just that I don't have time for a real relationship right now. I told you that the first time we went out.
Everybody says that at the beginning of a relationship.
I'm different. I really mean it. Things are really starting to move for me now. I'm not going to be doing the weather for the rest of my life. I was just talking to the CBS guy about a network job. I want that. This is just the beginning for me. I can't waste any more time.
Are you saying our relationship was a waste of time?
Our relationship? We went out a total of 4 times and only twice did anything happen. We had fun, but fun is not commitment.
Just give it time. We're extremely compatible. There may even be some past lives involvement in here.
So we've already done this. Let's move on. Next case.
You know what's wrong with you, Phil? You're selfish. You don't have time for anyone but yourself.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You don't want to be with me. You can do better. Look, Stephanie, if I ever said or did anything to mislead you, I'm sorry for that. But right now, I have to do this groundhog thing, and I don't have a handle on it yet.
Phil, handle this.
I know you're angry, Stephanie, and I respect that.
Exterior, a highway afternoon. A van marked Channel 9 Action News speeds along a 2-lane highway through the winter landscape of west central Pennsylvania. Mounted atop of the van is a microwave transmitter. Rita is riding up front with Larry, the union cameraman and techie. Phil is following close behind the van in a new Lexus coupe. His car has a bumper sticker that reads "Weatherman, like it's sunny and moist."
Hello, is this Channel 9 News van? Can I please speak with Rita?
Interior, the van, same time. Larry hands Rita the cellular phone.
It's for you. Oh, thank you. Hello?
Interior, the Lexus, continuous. Phil talks to Rita in a really strange, funny voice.
Is this Rita? You don't know me, but I'm the guy right behind you in the red Bronco. I watch the Channel 9 News all the time, and I was wondering what Phil Connors is like. Has he always been kind of because he's always been kind of a hero to me.
Rita looks out the back window and sees Phil following close behind.
Great. Prank phone calls, Phil?
Don't hang up. This is as much fun as you're going to have on this trip.
Goodbye, Phil.
No.
She hangs up. A sign. Cut to, "Welcome to Punxsutawney, the original weather capital of the world since 1887. Depicted on the sign is a large cartoon groundhog wearing a top hat and clutching an umbrella under his arm. The mini convoy passes some fast food places on the outskirts of town. Cut to exterior Main Street, Punxsutawney. Later, the van drives along the small town main drag. There are cartoon groundhogs everywhere. You look, and the whole town has been gaily festooned with banners and bunting. Exterior motel. Later, the van pulls into the parking lot at a Quality Inn. The announcement billboard in front of the motel reads Groundhog Day Breakfast Special, February 2nd. All you can eat, $5.99. The parking area is already crowded with cars, including a number of other news vans. The Lexus pulls in behind the van, and everybody gets out. Phil takes one look at the motel, shakes his head.
Rita, I can't stay here.
Rita's already helping Larry unload equipment from the van.
Prima donna. It's okay, I'll handle it.
She crosses to the Lexus where Phil is trying to make another call on his car phone.
What's the problem, Phil?
I hate this place. I stayed here 2 years ago and I was miserable. It's like the nice wing at Leavenworth. I'm not staying here.
You're not staying here.
I'm not?
No, Larry and I don't care, but I thought you might, so I booked you a very nice bed and breakfast on Cherry Street. Here's the address.
He hands him the card.
Great. That is great. That's the mark of a really good producer, making the talent happy.
Whatever I can do.
Really? How about a foot massage?
Whatever I can do within reason. Now, would you like to have dinner with Larry and me?
No, thanks. I've seen Larry eat. Why don't you ditch Larry and let me take you someplace nice?
You mean like a date? Oh no.
Okay, I get it. You're a little intimidated by me. You're all excited about the shoot tomorrow.
I can hardly contain myself.
I understand. You just get some sleep. Tomorrow will be great.
Well, that's something to look forward to, and I'll see you in the morning.
He drives off, leaving her standing there, shaking her head.
Did he actually call himself the talent?
Larry snorts and continues unloading their gear. Exterior Cherry Street, dawn. The first light of morning colors the sky behind the Cherry Street Inn, a rambling, white Victorian bed and breakfast. Interior Phil's room, close up on the clock. A clock radio changes from 5:59 to 6 a.m. The radio comes on, playing the end of the Sonny and Cher hit, I Got You, Babe. Super February 2nd. Phil sits up in bed and looks around the room. The decor is typical bed and breakfast, flocked wallpaper, framed prints, and an odd assortment of mismatched furniture. His suit is hanging neatly on the back of the closet door, and his suitcase is open on a stand at the foot of the bed, still neatly packed. A radio DJ and his sidekick come on with hyped up drive time happy talk. Phil stares at the radio and listens to them.
Okay, campers, rise and shine, and don't forget your booties because it's cold out here today.
Phil grimaces and swings out of bed.
It's cold out there every day. What is this, Miami Beach?
The DJ laughs. Phil shakes his head at the cheesy repartee as he crosses to the sink and starts brushing his teeth.
Not hardly, and you can't expect hazardous travel, but later today with that, blizzard thing.
That blizzard thing.
Phil splashes some water on his face and prepares to shave.
Oh, here's the report. The National Weather Service is calling for a big blizzard thing.
Yes, they are, but there's another reason today is especially exciting.
Especially cold.
Especially cold, okay, but the big question on everybody's lips,
Chapped lips.
on their chapped lips, right? Do you think Phil's going to come out and see his shadow?
Punxsutawney Phil.
Phil looks up at himself in the mirror, admiring his own face.
That's right, rodent lovers. It's
Groundhog Day.
Sound effect of grunting groundhogs. Phil grunts at his reflection in the mirror.
Never again.
Interior corridor, dawn. Phil heads for the breakfast room of the inn, now well dressed in a suit and tie. A nice overcoat flung over his arm. A chubby man passes.
Morning.
Morning.
Think it'll be an early spring?
I'm predicting March 21st.
Interior breakfast room continuous. Phil enters the old library of the house, now set up with a breakfast buffet. An old spinet piano stands in the corner. One wall is lined with bookcases filled with books. A handful of guests are seated around the room eating. The matron of the house, Miss Lancaster, spots Phil as she comes out of the kitchen with a fresh pot of coffee.
Did you sleep well, Mr. Connors?
Like a Romanian orphan, Mrs. Lancaster.
Oh, that's nice. Would you like some coffee?
I don't suppose it would be possible to get an espresso or a cappuccino around here.
I don't really know.
How to spell it? Forget it. This will be fine.
I wonder what the weather's going to be like for all the festivities.
My guess it'll be cold and overcast. High today in the low 30s, dropping to the low 20s tonight, but I'm predicting that all that moisture coming up from the Gulf is going to miss us and dump some locally heavy snow, possibly blizzard conditions with travel advisories in the Harrisburg area, and maybe as far east as Philadelphia. You want to talk weather, or do you just want to chit-chat?
He heads for the door.
Oh, will you be checking out today, Mr. Connors?
Unfortunately, yes.
Phil exits. Exterior boarding house. Moments later, sipping at the steaming coffee, Phil manages to put on his coat and gloves as he descends the front steps of the house and joins the flow of pedestrian traffic on the street. The exterior Main Street, Punxsutawney continuous. There are a lot of people on the street for this hour. Traffic is so heavy, in fact, the pedestrians are moving faster than the cars. Everyone seems to be going in the same direction, making the annual trek to see the groundhog. An old bum is sitting on the sidewalk, leaning against a storefront. Someone throws him a coin. Phil walks by without taking any notice.
Hey, Phil.
A big pie-faced man, Ned Ryerson, comes huffing and puffing right up to him. There is something about this guy that makes us dislike him on sight.
Phil Connors. I thought that was you.
Phil assumes he's a fan.
Hey, good to see you. Thanks for watching.
My, oh my, Phil Connors, don't say you don't remember me, because I sure as heck fire remember you. Well,
Phil stares, trying to remember.
Ned Ryerson. Needle-nosed Ned the head. Come on, buddy. Case Western High.
Ned.
I see it clicking through that brain of yours. Click, 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 click. Bing! Ned Ryerson did the whistling belly button trick at the high school talent show. Bing! Ned Ryerson got shingles real bad senior year. Almost didn't graduate. Bing again! Ned Ryerson went out with your sister and Mary Pat a couple times. Tia told me not to anymore. Well?
Ned Ryerson.
Bing!
What are you doing with yourself, Ned?
Bill, I sell insurance.
No kidding.
Do you have life insurance, Bill? Because if you do, I bet you could use more. I mean, who couldn't? But I bet you, I feel you don't have any. Am I right? Am I right? Right.
You know, Ned, I'd love to talk to you, but I really have to go.
Phil starts to walk away, but Ned won't take the hint.
That's okay. I'll walk with you. When I see an opportunity, I charge it like it's a bull. Ned the Bull. That's me now. Some of my friends live and die by actuarial tables, but I think you just gotta, kind of a crapshoot anywho. Ever hear of the singles premium life? Well, maybe the ticket's for you, buddy. God, it's good to see you. Hey, what are you doing for dinner?
Dinner. Sorry. I'm in the middle of a 9-day feast. Fast.
As they continue walking, Phil steps into what looks like a shallow puddle and ends up ankle deep in wet slush. Ned laughs like a donkey.
Watch out for that first step. It's a doozy.
Phil looks at him with murderous contempt. Exterior Gobbler's Knob, dawn. A big crowd is standing in a park-like clearing off a residential street. They are gathered around a large mound of dirt enclosed by a rail fence, waiting for the big moment. For a cold, gray dawn, there is the atmosphere of a festival here. An area close to the mound is roped off for news reporters and cameras. Rita stands there, a pocket of genuine beauty in this sea of pot-bellied old Union guys and blow-dried reporters. Stomping her feet against the cold, Rita looks at her watch and glances around. Larry, the cameraman, just looks bored.
How can you be late? Prima donnas. It's just so inconsiderate. What's happening to some people? They're born nice, they grow up nice, you put them on TV, and bam, prima donnas.
Rita spots Phil heading into the crowd.
Oh, here he comes. Phil! Hey, Phil, come over here.
Phil joins them in the press area. Rita pulls him to his mark near the rail fence.
Where have you been?
It was horrible. A giant leech got me.
Rita holds up a slate for Larry to ID the tape. Phil takes the microphone from Rita and positions himself against the fence.
Let's do this, okay?
Ready when you are. Speed!
Phil straightens up, takes a breath, and snaps into announce mode.
Once a year, the eyes of the nation turn here to this tiny hamlet in Pennsylvania to watch a master at work. The master? Punxsutawney Phil. The world's most famous weatherman, the Groundhog, who, as legend has it, can predict the coming of an early spring.
Rita turns to Larry. This is impressive. So far, so good. The Groundhog Club officials in top hats, striped trousers, and cutaway coats parade out to the burrow that houses Punxsutawney Phil.
So did you sleep okay without me? You tossed and turned, didn't you?
You're incredible.
Who told you?
A Groundhog Club official kneels at the burrow and ceremoniously knocks on the small wooden door, then opens it and retreats.
And here's the big moment we've all been waiting for. Let's just see what Mr. Groundhog has to say.
The Groundhog sticks his head out, looks around, steps out of the hole, and runs over to the other side of the mound, about as far from the cameras as he can get.
Hey, over here, you little weasel.
Larry zooms in as far as he can, but the best he can manage is a close-up of the Groundhog's back. The Groundhog stands there a moment, his body casting a long shadow. Then he lets out a squeak and runs back into the hole.
Great shot, huh, folks? Well, that was certainly worth the trip. Now we'll be hearing from Mr. Buster Green, president of the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club, the so-called seer of seers, who will interpret for us.
Buster Green, dressed up in his top hat and cutaway coat, walks onto the mound and hushes the crowd.
He came out and he saw his shadow. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but it looks like it's going to be a long winter.
The crowd lets out a good-natured "ah" in disappointment.
Well, that's it. This is one event where television really fails to capture the true excitement of watching a large squirrel predict the weather, and I, for one, am deeply grateful to the powers that be at Channel 9 for making me come here today. For the Action News, this is Phil Connors.
Larry cuts the camera.
That's funny, but do you want to try that one maybe a little sweeter?
That's fine. Nobody cares. I'm out of here.
As he exits, Phil tosses the mic to Larry, who isn't expecting the throw, and bobbles it, dropping the mic on the ground.
Prima donna.
Interior diner later. Phil is sitting alone having a cup of coffee in a busy, loud, and lively cafe. Rita enters, sees him sitting there, crosses to his table, and sits down across from him.
Well, that was pretty lousy.
It's that way every year. The little rat comes out and he sees the shadow.
I'm not talking about the groundhog. I'm talking about you. You call yourself a professional?
I'm a pro. That was right on the money.
Okay, forget professional. How about human being? It's funny. It's a funny little folk pageant. You act like a personal insult. Who do you think you are, Walter Cronkite?
God, you really take this stuff seriously, don't you?
Yes, I do. As far as I'm concerned, there are no little stories, Phil. Only little reporters with big egos who think they're too good for the job they have to do. Talk about rats. You're the one who jumped ship. How's anybody supposed to count on you if...
When it comes to stuff like this, I don't want you to count on me.
Is that so?
Yes, that is so.
Rita is so irritated by him, she can't even respond. Larry pokes his head in the doorway, looks around, spots Rita, and makes his way over to their table.
Hey, Rita, you ready to go? We better get going if you're going to stay ahead of the weather.
The storm is going to miss us completely, you know?
Nice working with you, Phil. See you around.
Rita walks away, leaving him sitting alone. Exterior highway day. Phil's Lexus is driving down the highway. Light snow is just starting to fall.
I'll call you after I see the network guy. I should be back there in a couple hours. What? No, I can't hear you. You're breaking up. Hello? Sabrina.
Interior, the car, continuous. Phil is getting annoyed as the phone connection deteriorates. The snow is getting heavier. Phil switches on the windshield wipers.
Sabrina, can you hear me? Shit.
He slams the phone back into its cradle, then looks up and notices slow traffic up ahead. He honks his horn as the traffic comes to a complete stop. He keeps honking, but nothing moves. He rolls down the window and looks up ahead. The highway is a parking lot.
No.
Exterior, the car, continuous. Phil jumps out and begins to walk down the highway, past the parked cars, shivering in his light sweater and silk sports shirt. The snowfall is getting heavier and the wind is picking up. The snow comes down unnaturally hard and fast. He walks on, slipping and sliding in his expensive loafers until he comes to a police roadblock up ahead manned by 2 highway patrolmen.
Oh, what's going on, Commander?
Nothing's going on. We're closing the road. Big accident up ahead. Blizzard moving in.
What blizzard? A couple of flakes and isolated phenomena of nature?
Are you nuts? We got a major storm moving in.
No, that moisture's gonna miss us in Harrisburg.
Pal, you got that moisture on your head.
But I have to get back to Pittsburgh.
Mister, the only place you're going on this road is back to Punxsutawney.
Phil glowers at him and shivers. Interior gas station. Later, Phil is on a payphone. Snow is falling heavily outside. A gas station attendant is shoveling around the pumps.
So all the long distance lines are down. What about the satellite? Is it snowing in space? Isn't there some special line you can keep open for emergencies or for celebrities? Both. I'm a celebrity in an emergency. Can you pass me through on that line?
The door opens and Phil is blasted with frigid Arctic wind and blowing snow. The gas station attendant enters the tiny office and in trying to squeeze past Phil, accidentally bangs him on the head with a snow shovel. The exterior Main Street, Punxsutawney later. Phil pulls back into town, his car still covered with snow from the blizzard. Interior hotel bar, evening. Phil is at the bar in Punxsutawney's oldest and best hotel, the Pennsylvanian. He looks very bored, drinking a beer, unsuccessfully hustling an attractive local girl, Nancy.
You never saw me on TV, on the news.
Think so. What part of the news do you do?
I'm the White House correspondent for NBC News.
So what are you doing in Punxsutawney?
We got a tip the president was going to be here to see the groundhog.
Oh, I'm so sure.
It's true. Ask me anything.
Okay, how big is the White House?
3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, finished basement.
She just stares at him, clearly not into his sense of humor. Suddenly, a bride in full white wedding gown and veil rushes into the bar, crying and shouting. A gaggle of bridesmaids flutters around her, trying to coax her back to her own wedding, but she won't budge. Then the groom, wearing a bad rented tux, comes storming in and tries to drag her back until the best man restrains him and the bridesmaids hustle the bride away. Phil watches the whole drama play out, then turns back to the girl.
Wow, good start. I'm sure they'll be very happy. So what do you say? Do you want to play doggy obedience school with me?
Thanks, I'll pass.
She gets up to leave.
Sit, Lassie, sit, stay. Bring me the beer nuts, Lassie.
Grow up.
He watches her go, then tosses a tip on the bar and exits somewhat unsteadily. Exterior, Cherry Street, night. Phil walks unsteadily up to the bed and breakfast. Snow is falling. Interior, Cherry Street Inn, night, same time. Phil enters his room and drunkenly tosses his overcoat, scarf, and gloves on the floor in a heap. As he crosses to the bed, he accidentally knocks over the suitcase stand, spilling his clothes out onto the floor. He contemplates picking them up for a moment, declares he decides to leave them there, and flops down on the bed. He lies there looking up at the ceiling until the room starts to spin around. Then he closes his eyes and quickly drops off to sleep, still fully clothed. Dissolved to interior, Phil's room, dawn. Close up, clock. The clock radio changes from 5:59 to 6 a.m. The radio comes on, playing the end of the Sonny and Cher hit, I Got You, Babe, just as it did the day before. Phil sits up in bed, quickly alert, and looks around the room. Something is wrong. He's wearing pajamas. His suit is once again hanging neatly on the closet door, and his suitcase is back on its stand at the foot of his bed, again neatly packed. The song ends, and the same radio DJ and his sidekick come on with the same music, the same manic energy. Phil stares at the radio and listens to them. A look of astonishment comes over his face as they banter.
Okay, campers, rise and shine. Don't forget your booties because it's cold out here today.
It's cold out there every day. What is this, Miami Beach?
The DJ laughs. Phil mock laughs at exactly the same time, recognizing the repartee from the previous morning.
Nice going, guys. That's yesterday's tape.
Phil crosses to the sink and gets a towel off the rack, only half listening to the radio.
Not hardly. Expect hazardous travel later today with that, blizzard, the blizzard thing.
That blizzard thing?
Phil turns on the water and splashes some on his face as if trying to wake himself up, vaguely disturbed by the repetition of the broadcast.
Oh, here's the report. The National Weather Service is calling for a big blizzard thing.
Yes, they are, but there's another reason today is especially exciting.
Especially cold.
Especially cold, okay, but the big question on everybody's lips.
Phil supplies the next line in unison with the radio.
Chapped lips.
On their chapped lips, right? Do you think Phil's going to come out and see his shadow?
Punxsutawney Phil.
Some vague doubt causes Phil to go to the window.
That's right, rodent lovers. It's
Groundhog
Day.
Sound effect of grunting groundhogs as Phil pulls back the curtains and looks out. His POV, the street is full of people heading toward Gobbler's Knob exactly as they did the day before.
What the hell?
Interior, Cherry Street Inn, dawn. Phil rushes out into the corridor, hastily tying his tie, his suit jacket and overcoat over his arm as he heads for the breakfast room the same chubby man passes.
Morning?
Morning.
Think it'll be an early spring?
Didn't we do this yesterday?
I don't know what you mean.
Phil grabs him by the front of his shirt and looks deep into his eyes.
Don't mess with me, poor child. What day is this?
February 2nd? Groundhog Day?
Phil Phil can see he's telling the truth and relaxes his grip on the poor man.
Okay, sorry. I'm having a bad day.
Phil walks on, leaving the chubby man baffled and insulted.
Oh, say.
Interior breakfast room continuous. Phil enters the old library of the house and finds everything exactly as it was the day before. Mrs. Lancaster spots Phil as she comes out of the kitchen with a fresh pot of coffee.
Did you sleep well, Mr. Connors?
I don't know. I think I'm still asleep.
Would you like some coffee?
Yes, thank you. I'm feeling a little strange.
Wonder what the weather's going to be like for all the festivities.
Did you ever have deja vu, Mrs. Lancaster?
Is that the Italian dessert with the brandy and the chocolate mousse?
No, that's spaghetti. Never mind.
He heads for the door, still in a daze.
Oh, will you be checking out today, Mr. Connors?
I don't know. I'll tell you after I wake up.
Phil exits. Exterior boarding house. Moments later, Phil gulps down the steaming coffee, still trying to wake up from what he assumes is a dream, and descends the front steps of the house. He accosts a passerby.
Oh, ma'am, excuse me. Where's everybody going?
The Gobbler's Knob. It's Groundhog Day.
Phil slaps his own face and shakes his head as if trying to clear it and starts off down the street. Exterior Main Street, Punxsutawney continuous. Phil rushes down the street again, failing to notice the old bum sitting on the sidewalk leaning against a storefront.
Hey, Phil.
Ned Ryerson approaches with the same obnoxious attitude.
Bill Connors. I thought that was you.
Phil just stares at him and keeps walking.
My, oh my, Bill Connors. Don't say you don't remember me, because I sure as heck if I remember you. Well,
Ned Ryerson.
bing! First shot right out of the box. How's it going, old buddy?
Tell you the truth, Nettie, I'm not feeling real well. Could you excuse me?
Well, now you know what's funny? You should mention your health, because you'll never guess what I do.
Do you sell insurance, Ned?
Bing! Again! You're sharp as a tack today. Do you have life insurance, Bill? Because if you do, I bet you could use it more. Who couldn't? Well, I guess I don't have any. Am I right or am I right? Right.
Did I say fuck off, Ned? I can't talk to you right now.
He backs away from Ned and steps right into the same deep, slushy puddle he stepped in the day before.
Hey, watch out for that first step. It's a doozy.
Phil looks down at his wet shoes and cuffs and stumbles off toward Gobbler's Knob. Exterior Gobbler's Knob dawn. The crowd is gathered as before for the big moment. In the press area, Rita is having the same dialogue with Larry when she spots Phil.
Oh, here he comes. Phil! Hey, Phil, come over here.
He notices immediately that he is uncharacteristically disheveled, his tie askew, his hair mussed.
Where have you been?
Slap me, Rita.
What is this?
Just slap me hard.
He keeps up and
I said hard.
I can't!
Do it. Better. Almost too hard, Rita.
Are you drunk?
No, drunk is more fun. Can I be serious with you for a minute?
I don't know. Can you?
Yes, I'm being serious. I'm having a problem. No, I may be having a problem.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say that if I was having a problem, just hypothetically, I'd like to know that you're someone I could count on in a crisis.
What did you do last night?
the crowd begins to hush.
It looks like they're going to start. We better roll.
Relax, Larry. We've got time.
Everybody else is rolling. We're going to miss it.
We're not going to miss it. They're going to miss it.
Phil, we've been out here for an hour. We're cold. We're tired. I'm begging you. Could we please just do this?
Okay. For you. Roll tape.
Prima donna.
Phil takes the microphone from Rita and positions himself against the fence.
Rolling.
Well, it's Groundhog Day again. And you know what that means?
As Phil delivers his intro, he starts circling around the fringe of the Groundhog Pavilion, moving toward the spot where the groundhog ran the day before.
Everybody's here on Gobbler's Knob, waiting in the cold for the appearance of the most famous groundhog in the world, Punxsutawney Phil, who's going to tell us just how much more of this we can expect.
Where is he going? Follow him.
Larry and Rita are forced to pick up all their gear and follow Phil around to the back of the knob.
My forecast is we're going to see the groundhog peek its head out of its hole, look around a little bit, and then he's going to come out and scamper right over to me.
He's lost his mind.
The Groundhog Club official knocks on the groundhog's door, then opens it and retreats.
Okay, and here's the little guy we've all been waiting for.
Phil points to the hole and Larry zooms in. The groundhog sticks his head out, looks left, looks right, steps out of the hole and runs away from the press pool directly over to Phil, who casually bends down and picks the groundhog up in his arms.
Hi, Phil. I'm Phil. So what's the story? 6 more weeks of winter or what?
Rita and Larry watch in amazement as Phil pretends to have a conversation with the groundhog. The spectators laugh appreciatively. Buster Green, the Groundhog Club official, walks over to Phil and takes the groundhog from him.
Thank you. He came out and he saw his shadow. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but it looks like it's going to be a long winter.
Again, the crowd lets out a loud, good-natured "ah" in disappointment. Larry pans back to Phil just in time to see him walking away without signing off.
Now where is he going? I don't know, but that was incredible.
Interior Phil's room later, Phil is on the phone desperately trying to make a call.
I know there's a blizzard, but I have to get a call through to my doctor in Pittsburgh. It's a medical emergency. No, don't give me the Punxsutawney Fire Department. When do you think the long-distance lines will be working again? But what if we don't have it tomorrow? We didn't have one today, my friend. Oh, hello? Hello?
He hangs up and shakes his head, which is now really starting to ache. Then he pops a handful of Tylenol, lies down, and pulls the covers up over his head. A moment later, he sits up, takes a pencil from the nightstand, breaks it in half, and puts the pieces back on the nightstand. Then he lies down again and retreats back under the covers. Interior, Phil's room, dawn, close up on the clock. The clock radio changes from 5:59 to 6 a.m. The radio comes on, playing the end of the Sonny and Cher hit, I Got You, Babe, just as it did the day before. Phil sits up in bed, fearing the worst, and looks on the nightstand. The pencil is whole again. Completely stunned by the phenomenon, he jumps out of bed and starts dressing hurriedly as the morning DJs begin their now familiar rap.
Okay, campers, rise and shine, and don't forget your booties because it's cold out there today.
It's cold out there every day. What is this, Miami Beach?
Phil rushes out of the room. Exterior, Cherry Street later. Phil pulls into the driveway of the bed and breakfast and gets out of his car carrying 2-gallon buckets of paint and a couple of big bags from a hardware store. Interior, Cherry Street Inn, continuous. Phil enters and passes Mrs. Lancaster in the breakfast room.
Painting something, Mr. Connors?
Just doing a little remodeling.
Interior, Phil's room later. Phil enters and dumps the bags on the bed. Out fall a couple of big paintbrushes, a small sledgehammer, a handsaw, a crowbar, plastic goggles, and assorted other tools. He puts on the goggles, grabs a hammer and some nails, and starts nailing the door shut. Exterior corridor later. Mrs. Lancaster and several other guests are gathered in the hall outside Phil's room, listening at the door and looking very worried. Loud music is playing inside the room. From inside the room, they hear the sound of loud hammering, wood splintering, and glass breaking. Interior, Phil's room continuous. Phil has demolished just about all the furniture and woodwork in the room. He rips off the last of the wooden moldings with the crowbar, then crosses to the mirror over the demolished sink. Phil stands there staring at his image in the mirror, trying to figure out what's happening to him. He starts breathing heavier, as if gathering courage. Then, just when we think he's going to cut off his ear or something, he raises an electric barber clipper and shaves a bald stripe up the middle of his head. He studies his new look for a moment, then smashes the mirror with his sledgehammer. Then he opens the cans of paint, dips the 2 big brushes into the cans, and starts slapping bright red paint onto the walls, madly, feverishly splashing himself and everything else in the room with it. As a final touch, he grabs the bed pillows and rips them open. then shakes them all around, and the room, there's a storm of feathers. Finally, Phil falls exhausted on the bed. He can hear people pounding on the door outside. We pan over to the clock radio, the only undamaged object in the room. Feathers drift down past the face of the clock, which reads 5:59 a.m. The time changes to 6. The radio clicks on, and I Got You, Babe starts playing as we pan back to Phil sleeping on the bed. He opens his eyes, jumps out of bed, and looks around. No paint, no feathers, no damage. Everything is as clean and tidy as the day he checked in. He races over to the unbroken mirror and looks at himself. His hair is completely restored, as if it had never been shaved. The song ends with the DJ's coming on. Phil says every word right along with them, shocked into a state of complete wonderment.
Okay, rivers rise and shine. Don't forget your booties because it's cold out there today.
It's cold out there every day. What is this, Miami Beach?
Miami Beach?
The DJ laughs. Phil laughs insanely along with him. Exterior Gobbler's Knob, early morning. Phil is wrapping up another Groundhog report, trying to be completely professional despite the circumstances.
So, according to Mr. Groundhog, I guess we can expect 6 more weeks of winter. It's not very scientific, but it sure is fun. Hey, wait a second. If he's right, I could be out of a job. For Channel 9 News, this is Phil Connors in Punxsutawney.
He holds until Larry stops tape, then approaches Rita.
How was that?
It was incredible. How did you know the groundhog would run right over to you?
I have kind of a St. Francis thing going with animals. Could I talk to you about a matter that is not work-related?
You never talk about work.
Just come with me. We really have to talk.
As he escorts her away, he notices Larry eyeing them jealously.
It's above the line stuff. You'd be bored stiff.
Exterior, Main Street, a bit later. Phil and Rita cross the street and enter the cozy-looking diner on the corner. Interior diner continuous. They sit together at the same table they had previously. The waiter approaches.
Sorry, I just lost my spot. Could I have some coffee, please?
The waiter pours her a cup.
I'll be back to take your order.
Thanks. Okay, so tell me, and don't give me that St. Francis stuff. How'd you know where the groundhog was going to go?
Because I've done it before.
I know, but the groundhog doesn't do exactly the same thing every year, does he?
I'm not talking about last year. I'm talking about today. I've lived it before.
You're telling me it was deja vu?
Deja vu. Rita, I keep reliving the same day over and over. Groundhog Day. Today. This is the 3rd time.
Huh. I'm waiting for the punchline?
No, really. It's like today never happened. Last night I completely trashed my hotel room, demolished it.
Phil, this is some rock and roll tour. This isn't some rock and roll tour, you know. We have a budget.
No, today it's all normal again. I shaved my head last night. This morning it was all grown back.
I'm racking my brain, but I can't even begin to imagine why you'd make something up like this.
Because I'm not making it up. I'm asking for your help.
Rita looks at him for a long moment.
Okay, I'll bite. What do you want me to do?
The truth. I'd like you to spend the next 24 hours with me and don't leave my side for a second.
I see. You know, Phil, you can charm all the little PAs at the station and all the secretaries and even some of the weekend anchors, but not me. Not in 1,000 years.
Wait a second.
Not if I was dying and your breath was the only cure. Not if your child was the only way, or our child was the only way to preserve the human race. Just get it out of your head because it's not going to happen.
Oh, so much for the truth.
Larry pokes his head in the doorway, looks around, spots Rita, and makes his way over to their table.
You ready? We better get going if we're going to stay ahead of the weather. Yes, I'm ready, Larry. Good luck, Phil.
Interior medical clinic day. Insert X-rays of Phil's skull are slapped onto a light box. Phil is having his head examined by a neurologist.
Oh, you're muted.
No spots, no clots, no tumors, no lesions, no aneurysms. Everything looks fine and dandy to me, Mr. Connors. Have you considered psychiatric help?
Interior psychologist office day. Punxsutawney's only psychologist is a marriage and family counselor at the local Lutheran church. His appearance and manner indicate he may have some serious problems of his own.
That's kind of an unusual problem, Mr. Connors. Most of my work is with couples and families.
Phil is lying on a couch.
Yeah, but you're still a psychologist. You must have had some course in school that covered this kind of thing.
Sort of, I guess. Abnormal psych?
Ah, so based on that, what would you say?
I'd say that maybe you're, I don't know, a little delusional.
You're saying this thing is not really happening to me.
Uh-huh.
How do I know this conversation is really happening?
I guess you don't.
Then forget about me paying you.
A discreet little alarm sounds.
I'm afraid that's all the time we have, Mr. Connors.
Wait, are you saying I'm crazy?
Not necessarily. If it concerns you, we should schedule our next session as soon as possible. How's tomorrow for you?
Insert a model of the solar system. A scientist in a white lab coat is holding up the model. Phil looks on with interest.
Now, if the moon exerts a gravitational pull strong enough to cause the tides, then it might be theoretically possible for a black hole or a singularity of sufficient magnitude to actually bend time enough to cause it to, really fold back in on itself.
You think that's a realistic possibility?
A paper airplane sails past his head, accompanied by a noisy outburst of juvenile laughter. We pull back to reveal interior classroom day. 25 eighth graders running amok.
All right, hold it. I think someone needs a little visit to the assistant principal's office. Get back in your seat. Bell has not rung yet.
The kids sit back down, but keep up their noisy chatter.
Well, it's all purely hypothetical. So.
Exterior, interior school corridor, first grade classroom. Later, Phil is walking toward the exit when he passes the first grade classroom. The door is open. The teacher is discussing a story with the class.
So the princess picked up the frog and kissed him.
Phil stops outside the door to listen. Interior, first grade classroom, continuous.
Now, who can tell me what happened when the princess kissed the frog?
Her lips got slimed.
The whole class erupts and giggles and shrieks.
Okay, come on now. What happened when she kissed the frog?
The princess kissed the frog and the spell got broken. He turned into a handsome prince and they got married and lived happily ever after.
That's right.
Interior, the corridor, same time. Phil is leaning against the wall, listening. There is something very arresting about the fairy tale, but finally he just shakes his head and exits. Interior, dewdrop in later that night. Phil is at a bar getting drunk with two local blue-collar workers, Gus and Phil.
Gus, what would you do if there was no tomorrow?
You mean like if the world was gonna end?
No, I mean like if it was never going to end. If every day was the same and you were stuck here and you couldn't get out and nothing you did mattered.
You're right. Every day is the same. I can't get out of here. Nothing I do matters. No, he's asking you a question, you idiot.
What was the question?
What if nothing mattered? Jeez, I don't know what I do. I just spend all my time driving fast, getting loaded, getting laid. That's it.
That's it. It just doesn't get any better than this, does it? Good friends, good conversation, and quality brew. Drink up, boys.
They salute each other and drink. Exterior of the street later. Phil, Gus, and Ralph approach Ralph's big old red Cadillac, convertible, parked outside the bar. They are even drunker than they were before.
Where you staying? Where you staying, Phil? We'll drop you off.
Hey, friends don't let friends drive drunk. Give me your keys.
He's as wasted as they are, but Ralph hands over his keys without a fight.
Thanks. Thanks, man.
It's nothing. Get in.
They all pile into the front seat with Phil at the wheel.
Ho seatbelts.
Ralph and Gus give him the thumbs up sign and start digging around in the seat cracks for their seat belts. Suddenly, Phil floors the accelerator and peels away, sideswiping a parked car as he screeches around the corner. Interior of the Cadillac continuous. Phil is having a great time. Gus and Ralph are whooping it up like kids on a roller coaster.
This is great, Ralph.
Oh, hey, take a left.
Phil passes the intersection.
You missed it.
No problem.
Exterior Main Street continuous. Phil throws the car into a high-speed skidding U-turn, goes up on the curb, across a couple of lawns, takes out a mailbox and a stop sign, and bounces back onto the street. A police car parked in front of the hardware store pulls out and takes off after him. Interior of the Cadillac continuous. Phil swerves all over the road. Gus is starting to look a little green.
So many rules.
You can say that again.
Don't do this.
Exterior of the street continuous. The Cadillac demolishes a parked car.
Don't do that.
He mows down a row of parking meters. Police car. It comes screaming around a corner in hot pursuit of the Cadillac. Interior of the Cadillac continuous. Ralph hears the siren and looks back at the police car.
All right, try and stop us, you mothers.
No more rules.
No more rules.
Exterior of the street continuous. A second police car joins the chase.
That's two.
Having a good time.
I'm having a great time.
Phil speeds up to 100 miles an hour. Gus is looking even worse from the liquor and the motion of the car.
Hey,
Phil.
Phil, I like the groundhog.
Right.
Hey, Phil, how are we going to get out of this?
Their POV, the intersection ahead, two police cars with lights flashing are parked sideways, completely blocking the road. Officers stand in the roadway, motioning for Phil to stop.
Gus, you're just going to have to trust me on this one.
He trumps the gas pedal to the floor. Gus's eyes go wide with terror. The police dive out of the way.
Yoo-hoo.
Yahoo!
Their POV through the windshield, the Cadillac crashes broadside into one of the police cars. Policemen race over to the wreckage of the Cadillac. Phil, Gus, and Ralph are sitting there stunned, still belted in, and apparently not seriously hurt. Phil grins at the policeman and passes out. Blackout. Close up. Clock. The time changes from 5:59 to 6. The radio starts playing, "I Got You, Babe." Phil sits up suddenly and looks around, completely amazed. He's in his room at the bed and breakfast, everything exactly the same as before. He hops out of bed and quickly examines himself for signs of physical injury. Nothing. The music ends and the two DJs come on.
Okay, campers, rise and shine. Don't forget your booties because it's cold out there today.
Phil talks out loud along with them.
It's cold out there every day. What is this, Miami Beach?
Miami Beach. Ugh.
The DJs laugh. Phil laughs too, exhilarated at having survived the car wreck, still very confused and perplexed, but just beginning to see the possibilities of his unique situation. He starts dressing in a hurry. Interior, breakfast room continuous. Phil rushes into the breakfast room just as Mrs. Lancaster comes out of the kitchen with the coffee. Everything is exactly the same as before.
Would you?
Phil interrupts, answering all her questions before she even asks them.
Yes, I would like some coffee. The weather's going to be cold and overcast with blizzard conditions moving in later today. And yes, I will be staying an extra day.
What? Why, thank you.
Mrs. Lancaster, has anyone been around here looking for me this morning? Maybe a state official, blue coat, hat, gun, nightstick badge, driving a late model Ford or Chevy, black and white with bubble lights on top?
No one like that. I don't. Will they be?
Apparently not.
Phil gooses her, grabs a sweet roll, and heads for the door, starting to believe now that he can truly do anything he wants to. Exterior boarding house dawn. Phil stops on the steps just as his coat and gloves as he puts them on, and then again he joins the traffic heading towards Gobbler's Knob. Exterior Main Street moments later, Phil passes the old bum, ignoring him as usual.
Hey, Phil.
Phil slips off his glove as Ned Ryerson lumbers toward him.
Phil Connors.
Ned? Ned Ryerson? Ned the Head?
Before Ned can say another word, Phil slugs him. Ned goes down. Phil puts his glove back on and keeps walking. Phil deftly avoids the slushy pothole. The pothole he stepped in days before, every day. The pedestrian walking behind him steps right into it. Exterior Gobbler's Knob. Later, Phil is passing through the crowd on his way to the press area when he notices Nancy, the girl he met at the hotel bar, and stops to talk to her.
You here to see the groundhog?
She gives him a look. It's obvious she's never seen him before.
Can you think of another reason anybody'd be out here at dawn on a freezing day?
What's your name?
Nancy Taylor. And you are?
Where'd you go to high school?
What is this?
High school?
She really doesn't know what to make of Phil, but she decides to play along.
Lincoln High School, Pittsburgh. Who
Who's
are
your
you?
12th grade English teacher?
Are you kidding?
I'm waiting.
Mrs. Walsh.
Walsh, Nancy, Lincoln, Walsh.
Is this some kind of a come-on?
I'm not really sure. We'll have to see.
Phil, who walks off and joins Rita at their camera position. Cut to interior diner later that morning. Phil is sitting at his usual table, which is covered with an incredible variety of rich foods: eggs, bacon, sausage, pancakes, pies, cakes, eclairs, ice cream, puddings, etc. Rita sits across from him watching in amazement as he stuffs himself with pastry.
Is this some sort of new fad diet? Don't you worry about cholesterol?
Phil scrapes a plate and takes a final bite of a chocolate eclair.
I don't worry about anything anymore.
What makes you so special? Everybody worries about something.
That's exactly what makes me so special.
He takes a big bite of cake. Rita shakes her head.
What?
The wretch concentrated in self, living shall forfeit fear, fair renown, and doubly dying shall go down to the vile dust from whence he sprung, unwept, unhonored, and unsung. Sir Walter Scott.
There once was a young man from Nantucket.
That's really funny. When are you going to grow up, Bill? Or Phil?
At this rate, never. Okay if I smoke?
You really do have a death wish, don't you?
Just the opposite, Rita. I have a life wish. I'm just trying to enjoy it, taking pleasure in the little things. Don't you ever just want to cut loose and go wild?
I wouldn't even know what that means to go wild.
Yeah, well, that's where I come in. Going wild is one of my specialties. Last night I got completely loaded and smashed into a police car.
Oh, really? You look pretty good this morning.
That's my point. I know you won't believe me but we could do anything we want today and it wouldn't matter one bit. Absolutely no consequences. Complete and total freedom. We don't even have to floss.
And how do we manage that?
Oh, you leave that to me. Why don't you send Larry back and hang out with me for the rest of the day? You never make it through the blizzard anyway.
Larry enters the diner and spots them.
I'll take my chances with the weather, but you have a great time.
Oh, don't worry. I plan to.
Exterior Gobbler's Knob. Next morning, Phil comes through the crowd and finds Nancy in the same spot she was in the day before.
Nancy?
Nancy turns and looks at him quizzically.
Nancy, right?
Sorry, I don't...
Nancy Taylor? Lincoln High? I sat next to you in Mrs. Walsh's English class. Phil Connors.
What? That's amazing.
You don't remember me, do you?
I don't Sure. I think,
We used to shoot spitballs.
yeah. Oh, God.
I even asked you to the prom.
Phil Connors?
Yeah,
How are you?
I'm great. Wow, you look terrific. Hey, listen, I gotta do this report.
You're a reporter?
Weatherman Channel 9 Pittsburgh.
Right. I should have known.
But maybe after we could.
Yeah. I'd like that.
Phil!
Rita is calling from across the crowd. She looks at him with disapproval. Interior Phil's room, night. Phil is making passionate love to a woman in the dark.
Oh, Phil.
Oh, Rita.
The woman suddenly freezes. There is a moment of silence. Then she snaps on the light. It's Nancy, not Rita. Phil is as surprised as she is by his slip of the tongue.
Who's Rita?
No, it's just something I say when I make love, Oh, Rita. Oh, Rita. It's like, oh, baby, or something.
Oh.
Oh, Rita.
Nancy laughs uncertainly. Phil switches off the light, thinking now about Rita. Interior breakfast room, morning. Some elderly guests are sipping coffee and eating breakfast, staring uncomfortably at something on the other side of the room. Their POV, Phil is standing at the bookcase wearing only pajamas, absently munching on a Danish as he reads from one of the books. Mrs. Lancaster approaches him.
Isn't it a wonderful collection?
Yes, it is. You don't usually find this many trashy novels in one place.
You can take a book up to your room if you'd like.
Oh, no, thank you. I've actually read them all. I was just rereading some of the dirty parts.
He finishes and puts the book back on the shelf.
How long will you be staying with us, Mr. Connors?
Indefinitely. I've already been here for 211 days,
Really? That's quite a long time, isn't it? I hope you're finding things to do in our little town.
Yes, well, I'm getting a little tired of casual sex, so today I thought I'd rob a bank and buy myself a really expensive car.
Phil kisses her on the lips and walks off.
Ooh.
Exterior pen bank and trust. Day, two harmless-looking old guards are calmly loading bags of cash into an armored car packed in front of a local bank. Suddenly, Phil appears, wielding a shotgun, wearing a Batman-style cape, his face completely hidden by a ski mask.
All right, freeze! Drop your guns!
The guards stand there frozen with terror.
You guys ever been held up before? Isn't it kind of exciting, isn't it?
Frightened.
Huh?
I guess so. Something to tell the kids about?
Yeah. By the way, I'm Phil.
He raises a ski mask and shows his face.
The Herman?
Felix.
Herman and Felix. Okay. Take it easy, boys. And thanks.
The frightened guards watch as Phil makes off with two large satchels of cash. Interior used car dealership. Day. Phil pats the hood of a used BMW 850 sports car as a salesman stands by beaming. Phil is wearing a full Steelers football uniform complete with shoulder pads.
A real beauty, huh? We picked it up at,
I'll take it. How much?
well, the sticker says $62,999, but if you want,
I'll tell you what. I'll give you $70,000 if you just knock off the car salesman stuff and let me get out of here with my car.
The salesman gawks as Phil opens his briefcase and starts counting out stacks of bills. The exterior, Puxatawny Day. From a high angle, we see the B&W tearing around the streets of the town as if running a Grand Prix road race. The exterior Main Street, night, the BMW comes screeching to a stop right in front of the movie theater and the door opens. A pair of really elaborate cowboy boots, complete with silver spurs, hits the pavement first. Then we pan up to see Phil emerge from the car wearing a real gaudy full cowboy outfit with real six-shooters on his hips. A very trashy-looking girl, Lorraine, gets out on the passenger side dressed like a French maid.
We were going to a costume party.
Yeah, we are. First, I had this movie theater fantasy I want to talk to you about.
Phil!
I told you. Call me Haas.
He escorts her into the theater. Interior, tattoo parlor day. A different day. Phil is trying on a tattoo. He's lying on the table getting elaborately inked. Rita walks by, looks in the window, and is shocked to see Phil there. Phil waves at her and points to the colorful new art pierced by a bloody dagger being tattooed on his arm. Exterior biker bar night. We track down a line of big, shiny, elaborately tricked out Harleys parked outside the bar. Interior biker bar night. We track down the line of rough trade patrons to Phil, dressed all in black leather, both arms heavily tattooed, looking like Sid Vicious on crack. He takes off his hat to reveal red, white, and blue hair shaved almost down to his skull. A slut named Angie and another overweight, not very pretty Madonna wannabe, both in too tight jeans and bullet bras, are coming on to him, practically licking his ears. Angie pops a couple of mystery pills into his mouth. Phil washes them down with a shot and a beer. Interior Phil's room night. It looks like outtakes from Fellini's Satyricon. Heavy metal is blaring from the radio as several unsavory-looking men and women are partying down. A few already passed out, sleeping off whatever hit them. Someone is knocking loudly on the door, shouting complaints about the music. A beer bottle smashes against the door. Phil is sitting up on the bed with Angie. He has his arm around her shoulder and a fifth of wild turkey in his hand.
Yeah, but eventually you just get tired of screwing around and then you want a relationship, wouldn't you?
I don't know.
A big German shepherd tries to jump up on the bed with him.
Get down, Bruno. Someone decent, someone who you respect, who respects you.
I guess so.
The dog jumps up again.
Down, Bruno. It's tough to find a relationship like that, especially if your time is kind of limited, but you still have to try, don't you? Bruno, I told you, off the bed.
Phil looks over at Angie, who's passed out with her mouth open.
There's got to be more to it than this.
Okay, go for it.
Exterior, a side street the next morning. Rita is in the news van reviewing the tape of Phil's report. Phil hovers at the open side door.
You look good. I mean, it came out all right. How'd you know where the groundhog was going?
Psychic. So did you have a nice evening?
I just had a sandwich, watched some TV, went to bed.
I got my whole body tattooed and partied all night with some nymphomaniac biker chicks.
Sounds wholesome. Where are those new 24-hour disappearing tattoos? Where can I see them?
No, they're gone. Rita, if you only had one day to live, what would you do with it?
She switches off the videotape and steps out of the van.
I don't know, Phil. What are you dying of?
No, I mean, like, what if the entire world was about to explode?
I would just want to know where to put the camera. What are you looking for, Phil? A date for the weekend?
She starts walking toward the center of town. Phil sticks right with her.
No, I just want to know you better. What do you like? What do you want? What do you think about? What kind of men are you interested in? What do you do for fun?
Is this real, or are you just going to make me feel like a fool?
I'm just trying to talk to you like a normal person. Isn't this how normal people talk?
Close.
Okay, so talk to me. Come on, I'll buy you a cup of coffee.
Interior diner a little later. Phil and Rita are at their usual table drinking coffee.
I mean, I guess I want what everybody else wants, you know? Career, love, marriage, children. So far, I don't have any of it.
You have a career.
I have a job. Doing stories on the Puxatawny Groundhog is not my ultimate goal. No offense.
How about the other stuff? You seeing anybody?
This is getting a little too personal. I don't think I'm ready to discuss these things with you. What about you? What do you want?
What I really want is someone like you.
Oh, please.
Why not?
Phil, you know you have so much talent and ability. If you just drop the attitude and act like a decent human being, then maybe
You what?
I don't know what.
Then maybe you'd like me?
I don't know. I sort of like the way I feel about UFOs. I have to see it to believe it.
Larry pokes his head in the doorway, looks around, spots Rita, and makes his way over to their table.
You ready? We better get going if we're going to stay ahead of the weather.
Yeah, I'll be right out, Larry.
Larry scowls at Phil and exits.
Why don't you stay for a while? The road's getting gonna be closed anyway. Do you really want to be stuck in the van with Larry for 3 hours?
I've got to get back. I'll see you later.
Phil watches Rita exit. Phil's POV. Rita gets in the news van and drives off with Larry. Phil stares out the window, more determined than ever to win her over. The exterior Gobbler's Knob on another day. Phil is wrapping up his Groundhog report.
Well, you heard it right from the groundhog's mouth. Bundle up good, 'cause it's going to be a long winter, at least in Puxatawny. Reporting from Channel 9, this is Phil Connors.
That was great. How did you know
There's something I have to do.
Phil runs off without another word of explanation. Exterior, the news van later. Phil has had the hood open and is doing something to the engine. Interior hotel bar later. Rita is sitting at the bar in the Pennsylvania hotel. Phil enters and sits down next to her.
Oh, hi, Rita. You still here?
The van won't start. Larry's working on it.
Wouldn't you know it? Buy you a drink?
Okay.
Jack Daniels?
For you, miss. Tequila with lime. Gold if you got it.
Phil nods to himself. Same scene, another day. Phil walks in and sits next to Rita.
Oh, hi, Rita. You still here?
Yeah, van won't start. Larry's working on it.
Oh, wouldn't you know it? Buy you a drink?
Okay.
Tequila with lime, gold if you got it.
Rita looks at Phil, surprised.
For you, miss?
Same for me, please.
The bartender pours.
What should we toast to?
Your call.
To the groundhog.
Rita stares for a moment.
I always drink to world peace.
Same scene, another day.
Take your order?
Tequila with lime, gold if you got it.
Rita looks at Phil.
For you, miss?
Same for me, please.
The bartender pours. Phil lifts his glass.
To world peace.
Rita smiles, reevaluating him.
To world peace.
They clink glasses. Interior, Berghoff restaurant, later. Rita and Phil are now sitting together at a table in the town's best restaurant. A good chop house with black forest decor and waitresses, noodle skirts and aprons. They're sharing a plate of cheese and crackers and a bottle of white wine.
You like your job?
It's okay. I think it could be really challenging. Of course, it's about 1,000,000 miles from where I started in college.
You weren't in broadcasting?
Bryn Mawr? No, Believe it or not, I studied 19th century French poetry.
Really? What a waste of time.
Rita looks offended. Phil knows he made a mistake. Same scene, another day.
You weren't in broadcasting?
Bryn Mawr? No, Believe it or not, I studied 19th century French poetry.
Phil leans in closer to her.
La fille qui jamais sera comme bon vin, que sa bonne fiera un più Jacques matin.
Rita smiles, entranced. Interior fudge shop, day. Phil and Rita are sitting at a table in a small confectionery tasting chunks of different flavored fudge. Rita takes a bite.
Mm, this is terrific.
Best fudge in town.
How do you know so much about Puxatawny?
I like small towns. I think they engender real community more than big cities.
That is so true. I've always thought that too.
No kidding. Here, try the white chocolate.
Oh, yeah. Don't make me sick.
No white chocolate.
There's just something so familiar about this. Do you ever have deja vu?
Phil smiles. Then Larry enters.
I don't believe it. Someone bought every distributor cup in this town. We're gonna be stuck here all night.
Over Phil's sympathetic look, we hear the song, I Can't Get Started with you. Exterior, the bandstand night, the music contains over Rita and Phil dancing close. Exterior, town square, later that night, there is a light snow falling. Phil and Rita are making a little snowman. Somehow the town looks magical tonight. Old-fashioned, wholesome. A snowball hits Phil in the back. He and Rita turn around to see a giggling kid. Phil packs a snowball and tosses it. The kid throws one back. Rita and Phil both get into it, packing snowballs and getting into a war with this kid and his little gang of friends. A snowball catches Rita unaware. She slips and goes down in a snowbank. Phil bends down to help her and slips. They are now together, lying in the snow, laughing. Their eyes lock for a long, sweet moment. Then Rita gets embarrassed and stands up. Exterior, Cherry Street Inn, night. Phil and Rita are walking slowly, very close.
What?
I'm just amazed. And I am not easily amazed.
About what?
How you can start a day with one kind of expectation and end up with something completely different.
Do you like how this day is turning out?
Yes, I like it very much.
They stop at the front door of the hotel. She turns to him.
You could never have planned a day more like this, but it couldn't have been more perfect.
Well, you're wrong. I've been planning this day for weeks.
Rita ignores the remark and hugs him. Phil tries to kiss her, but she gently puts her fingers to his lips, stopping him.
Come on in. I want you to see my room.
He takes her by the hand and leads her into the bed and breakfast. Interior. Phil and Rita enter and walk past the parlor. Phil stops. He stops, he runs back into the parlor and comes out carrying an old console hi-fi in his arms.
We're gonna need some music up there.
The interior, upstairs, hallway. Moments later, Phil leads Rita to the door of his attic room, and they enter. Interior, Phil's room continuous. Phil has redecorated the room, anticipating Rita's visit. The lighting is subdued and romantic. There's a fire in the fireplace and books strategically placed around the room as if he reads constantly. He sets up the hi-fi and takes her coat.
Gesundheit!
Thank you.
And what a nice room.
It is now.
He takes her in his arms and kisses her. She kisses back. Then they sink down onto the bed, and Phil gently pushes her back against the pillows. Phil starts to get passionate until Rita seems to catch herself.
I don't know, Phil. I don't think we should do this.
No, we should. This is the perfect end to a perfect day.
Well, it's a little fast for me. We better not. We can be together tomorrow.
She stands up and starts to straighten her clothes.
Tomorrow, where are you going? I've got some poetry books. Rimbaud, Baudelaire. We have this nice fire. I've got ice cream out there on the windowsill.
Thanks, but
Please, Rita, we can,
Phil, I'm tired. We can be together tomorrow.
but there is no tomorrow for me.
Let's not ruin it, Phil. There's no way I'm sleeping with you tonight.
Why not? Rita, I love you.
You don't even know me.
Please, you have to.
Rita shakes loose from his grasp.
What's wrong with you?
There is a long moment of silent tension. Then all her old doubts about Phil come rushing back.
Oh no, I can't believe I fell for it. This whole day was just one long setup and I ate fudge. Ugh, I hate fudge.
No, it was real. I love you.
Stop saying that. Do you really expect me to trust you? The whole secretarial pool is all Phil Connor's recovery group.
But I can change. I really can.
Rita slaps him hard on the cheek.
That's for making me care about you.
He turns and exits, leaving Phil standing there hurting. Exterior Main Street, another night. The snowball fight with the kids is going on. As before, Phil falls into the snowbank with Rita, and they almost kiss. Exterior Quality Inn motel later. Phil is trying to talk his way into Rita's room. She pushes him away and slams the door in his face. Exterior motel night. The streets are deserted except for Phil staring up at Rita's window in the Quality Inn. Rita comes to her window and looks out. She sees Phil looking up at her and draws the curtains. Interior Phil's room. Dawn. I Got You, Babe is playing. Phil hits the clock radio to turn it off. He lies there for a moment, then hefts himself heavily out of bed, not eager to repeat the day yet another time. With the radio off, Phil does the DJ's morning routine himself, seemingly for the millionth time.
Okay, campers, rise and shine. Don't forget your booties because it's cold out here today.
Phil continues the radio report at his own pace, obviously fatigued.
It's cold out there every day. What is this, Miami Beach? Huh? Not hardly. And you can expect hazardous travel later today with that, blizzard thing.
Exterior Gobbler's Knob, Dawn. Phil is walking through the crowd. He spots Nancy, walks up to her, and greets her half-heartedly.
Hi, Nancy.
Do I know you?
Phil can't manage enough enthusiasm to pursue her yet again.
No, I guess not. I thought you were someone else.
Phil wanders over to where Rita and Larry are, setting up the camera. Rita comes over to him.
Are you all right, Phil? You look terrible.
Phil looks at her sadly, then turns away.
I'm fine.
Interior pool night. Interior pool hall. Evening, the balls crack as the cue ball breaks the rack. Phil is walking around the table, cue in hand, sinking ball after ball while several admiring hustlers look on.
Who is this guy?
I don't know. Hey, mister! Who are you anyway?
Phil shoots, sinks a tough one.
You don't know me. I've been playing here every day for 2 years. You don't
Oh,
know
yeah?
me.
How come I ain't seen you?
I don't know. I seen you.
So what's your name?
They call me Punxsutawney Phil.
Punxsutawney Phil, like the groundhog.
Yeah, like the groundhog.
The hustler laughs. Aggressively, then stops when Phil makes a particularly difficult shot.
Lucky.
Oh, I'm real lucky. You looking for some action?
I don't bet pool.
What do you bet, Gertrude?
On the TV set above the bar, a 76ers basketball game is in progress.
Basketball.
Phil runs the rest of the table as he talks.
Okay, I'll take the Sixers over the Celts by 7. Atlanta over Charlotte by 15. Knicks over Washington by 11. Bulls by 5 over the Pistons, and the Sonics over the Blazers by 8.
He finishes with a very hard two-rail bank shot and turns to face the Hustlers.
So anybody interested?
Exterior Gobbler's Knob, Dawn. The crowd is waiting expectantly for the groundhog to appear. Phil is erect, squatting unprofessionally in front of the camera.
This is one of the most pitiful spectacles known to civilization. With one nod from a filthy rodent best known to pest control agencies, a Moribund old coal mining hamlet turns magically into the lords of Pennsylvania. Mecca to thousands of people who, if they hate the winter so damn much, why don't they move to Florida anyways?
Larry and Rita look on, incredulous. Interior parlor, close-up TV set. The program Jeopardy is playing.
Nobel Prize winning co-discoverers of the DNA molecule.
Who are Watson and Craig?
Who are Watson and Crick?
Correct?
There is a cheering from a small group of people off screen. Phil is sitting in his bathrobe in a big lounge chair in the parlor of his hotel. Mrs. Lancaster and other guests watch his performance, awed by his intellect.
Twin brother and sister Sebastian and Olivia create confusion in this Shakespearean comedy.
What is Twelfth Night?
What is Twelfth Night?
Correct?
More cheering from the small crowd.
I'll take New Jersey for 800, Alex.
And the answer is an audio daily double.
Count Basie.
Exterior street day. Phil is walking through town, still dressed only in his pajamas and overcoat, counting the sidewalk cracks. Taking giant steps from one to the next, he looks crazy.
2,671, 2,672, 2,673.
A woman passes walking her dog.
Hey, pick up after your dog.
He hasn't done anything.
Oh, he's going to. There, and there, and there.
Phil continues walking, counting the sidewalk cracks. 3 neighborhood kids notice Phil and walk along, matching him step from step.
2,674, 2,675, 2,600.
90, 20, 4, 6, 57.
2,470.
2, 8, 9, 46.
Phil stops. He has lost count. His lip curls up like an animal as he turns slowly, growling at the kids. They run away, screaming with glee. Phil starts after them, but a cop pulls up in a cruiser and gets out.
You got a problem, buddy?
Yeah, I got a problem, buddy. I can't stand this place anymore. I can't stand this street, and I can't stand the 14 bars and the 5 banks and the 1-star food and the bad weather and the quaint little shops, and most of all, I can't stand anything with a groundhog in it.
He rips a groundhog patch off the cop's jacket sleeve.
Okay, then let's see what we can do about getting you out of here. You got a name?
Phil.
Phil, like the groundhog.
Phil turns to the cop like a rabid dog ready to strike. Some big new idea has formed in his mind. Exterior, Gobbler's Knob, early morning. Rita is looking at Phil as Larry videotapes his report.
This guy's nuts. He's out of his gourd.
Let him finish, then I'll call the station.
They turn back to watch Phil's wrap-up. Phil is completely unkempt, still wearing only pajama bottoms and his overcoat, looking even more demented.
There is no way this winter is ever going to end as long as that groundhog keeps seeing his shadow every day. I don't see any other way out. He's going to be stopped, and I've got to stop him. Channel 9 News, this is Phil Connors.
Suddenly, Phil whips out a big kitchen knife from under his coat and dives at the groundhog. Town officials and police throw themselves on Phil as the groundhog scampers safely back into his hole. Rita and Larry videotape the incident, aghast at Phil's insane attack. Exterior, Civic Center day. Phil passes the pedestal bearing a life-size bronze statue of the groundhog and enters the public library. Interior library continuous. Phil walks past the front desk looking very haggard and dangerous. No one is present except the librarian, a young woman reshelving books in the stacks. He looks around quickly and sees a window in the wall, and over it a large sign which reads Punxsutawney Phil, the Great prognosticator. Phil heads right for it. The groundhog scurries around his little temperature-controlled habitat, oblivious to the approaching danger. As Phil approaches the groundhog display, he reaches into his overcoat and pulls out a pump shotgun with a short pistol grip. The librarian sees the gun and freezes. Phil pumps a shell into the chamber as he walks right up to the case. Phil's POV, the groundhog looks right into his sights. Phil squeezes the trigger, loud gunshot. The glass window is still intact, not a scratch on it. The groundhog looks up playfully. Phil fires off 4 more rounds, but again, no results. Phil can't believe it. He charges the glass and pounds it with the rifle, but he can't even chip it. Suddenly, he is seized from behind by 2 strong men who take the rifle from him and wrestle him to the floor. The librarian comes running up and looks at the groundhog.
Is he all right?
He's just fine. That's 2 inches of bulletproof glass there. You can't be too careful in this day and age. We're only 85 miles from Pittsburgh, you know.
Exterior Gobbler's Knob, another day. Larry and Rita are loading their equipment back into the van. Rita spots Phil standing on the other side of the crowd, staring at her. She marches straight over to him, furious.
Where were you this morning? How could you possibly miss the shoot?
I've come to the end of me, Rita. There's only one way out now. Just remember we had a wonderful day together once.
Phil kisses her gently on the cheek and walks off toward the back of the knob. Rita watches him, then follows at a discreet distance, very worried. In a small clearing behind the man-made groundhog burrow, Buster Greens and 2 other Groundhog Club officials are lifting a cage into the front seat of Buster's pickup.
There you go, old buddy. Good job. Hey, he smiled at me. See that?
Right.
There, little fella.
The other official looks up and sees Phil walking toward them like a zombie.
Hey there, mister. Something I can do for you?
Without a word, Phil jumps quickly into the cab of the pickup and starts it up.
Hey, where are you?
Phil drives off in Buster's truck. Rita witnesses the groundhog napping and runs back toward the knob.
Larry!
Buster and his aides race for another car parked nearby.
Jake, call the police and get the word out. Somebody kidnapped Phil. We're going after him. Come on, Tommy.
They jump into a car. Buster guns the engine and takes off after the pickup. Rita jumps up. She runs up to Larry and grabs the camera on the fly.
Let's go! Phil just snatched the groundhog!
Larry does a slow take and starts gathering up the rest of the gear.
Why would a grown man steal a groundhog?
Pervert.
Exterior local road. Minutes later, Phil comes tearing around a slippery curve, followed by Buster in his car, and close behind him a contingent of police cars and the Channel 9 news van. Interior pickup continuous. Phil looks at the groundhog on the seat next to him, then punches the gas as he turns up a mountain drive.
Coming to the end of a trail, Phil. And we're going out in a blaze of glory.
Interior Buster's car, same time. Buster pursues Phil with relentless determination.
Nobody takes my groundhog and gets away with it.
The interior news van, same time. Rita is driving. Larry is hooking up the camera.
What is he doing? What was he thinking? He must have snapped.
Larry squeezes into the passenger seat with the camera mounted on his shoulder.
This ought to be good.
Exterior mountain road continuous. The cars chase the pickup to the top of the mountain. Interior Buster's car continuous.
Okay, I know this road. There's no way off except the way we come up.
All right, we got him now.
Exterior Old Quarry road continuous. The pickup is losing its lead over the pursuers as it nears the sharp mountain cliff. Interior, the pickup, same time. Phil looks in his rearview mirror at the cars chasing him. He glances down at the groundhog. He takes a breath. Okay.
Okay, pal. It's showtime.
Phil hits the gas. Interior, the news van, same time. Larry is taping as Rita comes around the curve. Just in time to see the pickup truck speeding toward the cliff, Rita hits the brakes and watches in horror.
Phil, no!
Exterior, Old Quarry Road, continuous. The pickup bursts through a retaining fence and rockets over the edge of the cliff. The pickup seems to hang in the air for a long time. Then it begins its slow motion descent, falling ever so gracefully until it impacts on the granite rock face far below. Big explosion, fireball, flaming wreckage, then a small click followed by, "I got you, babe." Dissolved to Phil. He slowly opens his eyes and blinks. He looks around and realizes he's back in his room at the bed and breakfast.
God, nuts.
Phil throws off the covers and hurls himself out of bed. Interior breakfast room. A little later, Phil enters in his pajamas, nods to Mrs. Lancaster, and grabs a toaster off the buffet table. Interior bathroom. Moments later, Phil enters, plugs in the toaster, and steps into the tub. Interior breakfast room. Same time. Mrs. Lancaster and the other guests hear the zap of an electrocution. The lights and TV flicker and dim for a moment, then come back on again. The exterior, a rooftop, another day. Close up, Phil. He's standing outside somewhere with the wind blowing through his hair. Pull back to reveal Phil stands on the edge, looking off into the distance. Then he jumps off in a pretty well executed swan dive. Interior, Ned Ryerson's office. Day. Ned and a client are huddled over his desk looking at some papers when they see Phil come flying past the window. They rush to the window and look down at the sidewalk 3 stories below. Their POV, Phil is sprawled there like a broken puppet, lifeless. Interior, Phil's room. Dawn. "I got you, babe." It's playing. Phil wakes up and smashes the radio. Exterior, street. Day. A bus accelerates down Main Street. Suddenly, Phil, dressed in pajamas and overcoat, leaps out in front of the speeding bus. Driver's POV. He sees Phil through the windshield, but doesn't even have time to hit the brakes before he runs right over Phil. Exterior, the bank. Day. The building is surrounded by police, all crouched behind their cars with guns and rifles trained on the doors. Suddenly, the doors burst open and Phil comes hustling out of the bank, screaming, dressed in camouflage fatigues and armed to the teeth with an assault rifle in one hand, an Uzi in the other hand, and a couple of handguns stuck in his belt. He doesn't get 3 feet before he is shot down in an incredible hail of gunfire. Rita stands behind the camera, gasping in horror while Larry records the grisly massacre. Interior, the coroner's office. Day. Rita weeps while Phil's body is covered with a sheet. Larry stands by, comforting her. In the shadowy darkness under the sheet, a click is heard. "I got you, babe." Phil's room. Cherry Hill. Phil's eyes open. Familiar music plays. Phil pulls the sheet off his face and finds himself back in his bed in his room. A tear falls from his eye. Interior, church. Day. Phil enters, sits wearily in one of the pews, and bows his head to pray. Behind him, light is pouring through a beautiful stained glass window. Desperate and with no place left to turn, Phil prays for help. Suddenly, he hears celestial music. It builds and swells, filling him with hope, inspiring him with faith. Then, just as he's about to reach some kind of true epiphany, the music seems to stick on one off-key note, which just keeps sounding over and over. Phil looks around and sees an organ tuner up in the loft working on the church's old pipe organ.
Hey, do you mind? I'm praying here.
The organ tuner starts to apologize, but Phil just shakes his head and exits. Interior, diner. Day. Phil and Rita are sitting at the diner, sitting at their regular table.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
I'm a god.
You're a god?
No,
You're
I'm
God.
a god. I'm a god, not the god. At least I don't think I am.
That's reassuring. For a minute there, I thought you might be crazy.
No, it's true. It's the only possible explanation. I'm a supernatural being.
Because you survived a car wreck.
The waiter comes to the table.
Are you ready to order?
Not just the wreck. I didn't just blow up yesterday. You know, I've been run over, drowned, crushed, stabbed, shot, electrocuted, poisoned, frozen, burned, and asphyxiated.
Really?
The waiter looks at him like he's nuts.
But I always wake up the next day without a scratch, without even a headache. I'm telling you, I'm immortal.
The special today is blueberry waffles.
Why are you telling me this?
Bless you. Some people like blueberry waffles.
That's why he didn't say God, because I am a
No.
god.
Not you. Him.
Because I want you to believe in me.
You're not a god, Phil. Take my word for it. This is 12 years of Catholic school talking.
I could come back if you're not ready.
How do you know I'm not a god?
Please.
How do you know?
Because it's not possible?
I'll come back.
The waiter turns to leave.
Wait, hey, Billy.
The waiter turns back.
This is Bill. He's been a waiter for 3 years because he left Penn State and had to find work. He likes the town, he paints toy soldiers, and he's gay.
I am not.
Bill grabs an astonished Rita and pulls her over to the next table.
What are you doing?
This is Doris Kleiser and her fiance Fred.
Do I know you?
They're supposed to get married tonight, but Doris is having second thoughts.
What?
Doris shows her engagement ring, dumbfounded. Rita is a little embarrassed.
Lovely ring.
Thanks.
Bill drags Rita to the counter.
This is Ralph. Say hi, Rita.
Rita flashes a quick smile.
Don't believe I've had the...
Well, Ralph hates his life here and wants to drive around town smashing a policeman.
Well, who don't?
This is some kind of trick.
Yes, it's a trick, but maybe the real God cheats too. Maybe God isn't omnipotent. He's just had a lot of practice.
How about that guy?
Tom worked in the coal mine until they shut it down.
Her?
Nancy went to Lincoln High School in Pittsburgh, takes herself out to lunch once a week.
Rita is getting bewildered from their reactions. She can see that Phil is right about each and every one of them.
How do you know these people?
I told you the truth. In 5 seconds, there's going to be a grease fire in the kitchen. 5, 4,
This is nuts.
2, 1.
Phil points to the kitchen as smoke starts pouring from the service window. Everyone in the diner is now staring at them.
Okay, enough. Let's just sit down and think for a second. Okay. What do you know about me, Phil? Do you know me too?
Phil takes a long pause.
I know all about you, Rita. I know you like producing, but hope for better than Channel 9 Pittsburgh.
Everybody knows that.
You like boats, but not the ocean. There's a lake you go to in the summer with your family, up in the mountains with an old wooden dock and a boathouse with boards missing in the roof, and a place you used to crawl underneath to be alone. And at night you'd look up and see the stars. You're a sucker for Rocky Road, Marlon Brando, and French poetry. You're wonderfully generous, you're kind to strangers and children, and when you stand in the snow you look like an angel.
How are you doing this?
I told you. I wake up every day right here, right in Punxsutawney, and it's always February 2nd, and I can't turn it off. If you still don't believe me, listen.
But Phil...
Listen, in 10 seconds, Larry's going to take you to walk through that door and take you away from me.
Larry?
But you can't let him. Please believe me. You gotta believe me.
I don't...
Larry pokes his head in the doorway, looks around, and spots Rita.
Look.
As Rita turns around to see Larry, Phil grabs a pen and pad from a passing waitress and quickly writes something down. As Larry makes his way to their table, Phil finishes writing.
You ready? We better get going if we're gonna stay ahead of the weather.
Phil hands the paper to Rita. She reads it.
Stay ahead of the weather.
Larry looks at the paper.
What's that?
Rita looks at Phil with new understanding and empathy. Exterior Punxsutawney Day. Phil and Rita are walking down the sidewalk.
It's not bad enough I have to live the same day over and over. I got Groundhog Day in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. I was in St. Thomas once in the Virgin Islands. I met a girl down there. She was outstanding. We ate lobster. We drank pina coladas. We made love on the beach. Why couldn't I get that day?
Phil abruptly pulls Rita aside. A big pile of snow slides off a roof and onto the sidewalk where they would have walked. Phil doesn't even look up. Rita looks as if she's seen a miracle.
How did this start?
I don't know. I just woke up just like always.
Ned Ryerson approaches.
Hey, Phil. Phil Connors.
Rita, this is Ned Ryerson. He's an asshole.
He remembers me.
Phil and Rita keep walking. Rita looks back at Ned, perplexed.
Trust me on that one.
Exterior Fudge Shop Day. Phil and Rita come out of the shop, sharing pieces of fudge.
This is great.
No, it isn't. You hate fudge.
Just how well do we know each other?
I told you, I know everybody.
Rita stops walking.
Did we ever,
Did we ever?
you
You're
know,
an animal.
come on.
You're European trained, aren't you?
Phil, it's not funny.
She catches up to him. Phil turns to her.
You weren't interested.
Okay. Not that it would have been so awful.
I understand.
I just had to know whether to smack you or not.
You did.
Good.
Exterior Park Day. Fita. Yeah, I'm shipping Fita. Phil and Rita are sitting on a park bench.
So do you
Cheetah?
believe any of this?
I don't know. How much, how could you know so much? Maybe it's really happening.
I used to try to stay up all night sometimes. I thought if I could stay conscious, I could figure out what was going on, or at least hang on to something for the day before, but I gave up on that a long time ago.
It sounds so lonely.
It's not that bad. You get used to it.
Maybe I should spend the rest of the day with you as an objective witness just to see what happens, okay?
Yeah, sure. That'd be okay.
Interior Phil's room night. A hat is lying on Phil's bed. A playing card flies past. A second playing card sails right into the hat. Another playing card sails past, missing. Another playing card sails right in. Phil and Rita are tossing cards. Rita is missing. Phil is hitting.
It's not in the wrist as much as the fingers. Be the hat.
It would take me a year to get good at this.
6 months, 4 or 5 hours a day.
Is this what you do with eternity?
Now you know. It's like waiting for a bus that never comes. You should see me play pool and bowling juggling hacky sack. I could ride a unicycle.
It's a knock on the door.
I'll get it.
Phil jumps for the door and opens it. The pizza guy he's outside.
Hi, Marty. $11.75, including the delivery charge, right?
Phil pays him, takes the pizza, and closes the door.
Pepperoni and olives, my favorite.
Of course, I told you. I know everything.
I don't think I want to know everything that's going to happen. I like to be surprised.
That's not the worst part.
What's the worst part?
The worst part is starting over every day. Tomorrow you won't remember any of this. You'll go back to treating me like a complete jerk.
No,
It's not your fault. I am a jerk.
no, you're not.
Okay, I'm not. It really doesn't make a lot of difference. I've killed myself so many times I don't even exist anymore. I'm just completely empty.
Or completely clean.
If you're going to be this positive all the time, I may have to rough you up a little bit.
Wait, have we done this before?
Which part?
You getting me up here, the card game, the pizza?
No, this is the first time.
Well,
Well, what?
how does it feel to be doing something completely new?
Phil looks at her with tremendous affection and gratitude.
Good. Really good.
He takes a slice of pizza and starts eating with gusto. The pizza box later, there's only one slice left. Phil and Rita are sitting together on the bed, close but not touching. Soft music is playing on the radio.
Sometimes I wish I had 1,000 lifetimes. One to be a great journalist, one to, I don't know, go back to school, study art or auto mechanics. One just to take care of all the busy work, pay the bills, get my car tuned up. One to be the wild woman of Borneo. One to be Mother Teresa. Maybe it's not a curse, Phil. Just all depends on how you look at it.
Phil stares at her for a long time, letting this sink in. Then he belches really loud. Rita stares at him, then burps surprisingly loud herself.
I want you to know it's been a really nice date for me.
Me too.
Maybe, if it's not too boring for you, we could do it again.
I hope so.
Clock reads 11:59. Rita grabs Phil's hand. He puts his arm around her. They look into each other's eyes. Rita gives Phil a reassuring smile. She squeezes his hand. Their eyes turn to the clock. 11:59 turns to 12. Rita looks up at Phil as if expecting some magical event.
You're still here.
I know.
I thought you were supposed to disappear, or I was, or something.
Not till 6.
Ugh, you rat!
She is mad in a playful way.
I never said midnight.
You knew I was waiting for midnight.
I never said it.
Oh, I can't believe you! I didn't know this was going to take all night.
Does that mean you're going?
No.
Phil takes Rita's hand. She doesn't resist. Later, Rita is now sitting right next to Phil on the bed, her head resting on his shoulder. She nods off, then catches herself.
I'm sorry.
It's okay to go to sleep, I promise I won't touch you. Much.
No, it's all right. I'm not tired. What were you saying?
Her eyes start to close again.
I was saying that the cow was eventually returned to its rightful owner.
Really?
That's right.
He looks at her, sees she's truly asleep, and gently maneuvers her into a comfortable reclining position on the bed. Then he carefully puts a pillow under her head and settles down next to her.
What I was gonna say was, I think you're the kindest, sweetest, prettiest, most wonderful girl I've ever met in my life.
She starts to stir, but he gently kisses her back to sleep.
Shh, that's good. I can never tell you this, but from the first minute I looked at you, I wanted to hold you close and be with you forever. Every time I saw you around the station, I thought my heart was going to explode. I used to dream about us being together. In my dream, you loved me as much as I loved you, and we didn't have to say anything because I knew you understood everything.
She stirs again, but he kisses her until she returns to deep sleep.
I know a guy like me could never deserve to have someone like you, but if I did, I swear I would love you for the rest of my life.
Rita opens her eyes.
Did you say something?
Good night, Rita.
He kisses her gently on the forehead.
Night, Phil.
Close up, the clock. The time changes from 5:59 to 6. The radio starts playing. Phil wakes up alone in bed. He lies there for a moment, then leaps out of bed like a man reborn and heads straight for the shower. Exterior Gobbler's Knob, Don, Rita, and Larry are in the packed press area beginning to set up the equipment. Phil arrives carrying 2 cups of coffee.
Rita!
She looks at him without a trace of the rapport they shared the night before.
Oh, hi, Phil.
Thought you might like some.
He hands her the coffee.
Thanks.
Careful, it's hot. Larry?
He hands Larry a cup.
Yeah, great.
We're just setting up.
I bumped into Buster Green, he kind of runs this thing, and he tipped me off that we might get a better shot over there.
Really?
I mean, maybe we should go for it. What do you think?
Sounds good to me, Larry.
Sure, why not?
All right, thanks, Phil. Good work.
He reaches for an equipment case.
I'll get that.
Phil helps Larry carry the camera gear.
You and I never talk, Larry. You got kids?
Larry looks suspicious. Rita looks on, reevaluating Phil. Interior library day. Phil enters the library, approaches the librarian.
Where would I find the philosophy section?
Down and to the left, 600s.
Phil walks through the stacks past the groundhog window. Exterior, a house, day. Phil rings the doorbell. A kindly young woman, Mary, answers.
Yes? Yes? Yeah.
I would.
You're good.
I'd like a piano lesson, please.
Oh, okay. I'm with a student now, but
$1,000.
Mary hesitates only for a moment, then ushers Phil into the house and closes the door. A moment later, the door opens and a little girl with an armload of music books exits as if pushed. The door closes behind her. Interior, hallway, dawn. Phil walks happily down the hallway. He passes the chubby man.
Morning!
Buongiorno, signore.
Think it'll be an early spring?
Winter slumbering in the open air, wears on his smiling face a dream of spring.
Oh,
Interior, Mary's house, day. Phil and Mary are sitting together at the piano. Phil is playing poorly.
not bad, Mr. Connors. You say this is your first lesson?
Technically, yes.
Phil plays on, definitely improving. Interior library day. We see several cuts of Phil studying at the library. Super over these cuts is a calendar with the pages flipping by. They all read February 2nd. Exterior, Gobbler's Knob, dawn. Phil stands in front of the camera, giving his report.
In fact, the groundhog's legendary ability to predict the weather may be more than just the German folklore of the region. Higher temperatures trigger hormonal changes in the testosterone levels of male groundhogs, which may in fact wake them from hibernation and send them out to the battle with other males for mating rights. So the truth is, they're not looking for their shadows, they're looking for groundhog chicks.
Rita looks on, clearly delighted with the report. Interior, Mary's house, day. Phil is playing the piano with ever-increasing skill as more February 2nd calendar pages flip by. Exterior, Gobbler's Knob, dawn. Phil is delivering another report.
Groundhog Day, February 2nd, also known as Candlemas Day, or the Feast of the Purification of the Virgin Mary, the day Mary first came to the temple for the ritual blessings following the birth of the infant Jesus, and celebrated since the Middle Ages by the sacramental lighting of candles. Hence the old Scottish couplet, which long predates the American groundhog tradition. If Candlemas dawns bright and clear, there'll be 2 winters in the year.
Larry whispers an aside to Rita.
Is he making this stuff up?
Exterior, cemetery, day. Phil and Rita wander among the old gravestones. Interior, work shed later. Beyond the graveyard is a work shed with various tombstones scattered about. Old Tucker, the town stone carver, is at work chiseling a name into a grave marker. Behind him, Phil is chipping away at a small hunk of marble, sculpting a very lovely cherub. Rita sits on a stool, eating an apple, sipping hot tea, watching him with amazed interest.
But what if the rules change? What if none of your actions had consequences?
well, there would still be an absolute morality. There has to be an absolute good, regardless of the circumstances.
Oh, is that so, Miss Plato? Then let me ask you this. Where does this absolute good come from? From the sky?
I don't know, my freshman philosophy course, I guess.
Oh.
Then she looks at him for a long moment and grins.
What?
Nothing. I just can't believe you're such a fine sculptor.
Phil takes a bite of her apple and gets up.
I gotta go.
Where do you have to go in Puxatani?
I got piano and then drums.
Here?
Come on, I'll drop you off.
They exit. Exterior Main Street later. Phil drops Rita off and watches as she crosses the street to Larry, who is waiting on the other side. Across the street, Rita takes a wistful glance toward Phil, then gets in the news van and drives off. Phil gets out of the car and starts walking, but finds himself face to face with Ned Ryerson.
Phil Connors, I thought that was you.
Ned? Ned Ryerson? I don't believe it. I've missed you so much.
Phil gives Ned a big hug and keeps holding on for an uncomfortably long time, actually giving Ned a hickey on the neck. Ned goes into homophobic shock.
I gotta get going. Nice to see you, Phil.
He hurries off. Interior Mary's house day. Phil is sitting on the piano bench with Mary playing pretty well. Mary is astonished.
How long have you been studying, Mr. Connors?
One day, I'm gifted.
Exterior street day. Phil is walking down the street. He glances down the alley as he passes, stops, walks back, and enters the alley. The old bum that Phil never noticed before is lying there, huddled against a wall. Phil goes to help him.
Hey, mister, hey, come on, let's get you somewhere warm.
The old bum turns to look at Phil, then closes his eyes.
There you go.
Phil practically carries him out of the alley. Interior, hospital, emergency room, night. A nurse approaches Phil.
You the one brought in the old man?
How is he?
He passed away just now.
Phil pauses for a long moment.
What did he die of?
He was just old. It was his time.
I want to see his chart, excuse me.
Phil brushes past her and makes for the big double doors leading to triage.
Sir, you can't. Look, some people just die.
Yeah, not this day.
Interior, diner, morning. Phil is propping up the old man at a table, trying to feed him hot soup. Interior, hospital day. Phil is furiously looking over x-rays, flipping through medical journals, and making notes. Exterior, alley, night. Phil is in the alley, shaking the old man, trying to rouse him.
Come on, hang on there, breathe.
Phil stops. The body lies unmoving. Phil sits back, breathing heavily. Exterior, Gobbler's Knob, dawn. Phil is delivering his report. Everyone there is silent and listening to Phil. Even the other reporters have turned their cameras on him.
When Chekhov saw the long winter, it was a winter bleak and dark and bereft of hope, and yet we know winter's only one more step in the cycle. And standing among the people of Punxsutawney, basking in the warmth of their hearts and hearts, I couldn't imagine a better fate than a long and lustrous winter.
Phil smiles. Rita smiles too.
For Channel 9 News, I'm Phil Connors.
There was much applause. Even Larry brushes away a tear. Phil hands the microphone to Rita.
Phil.
Sorry, I'm gonna be late.
Phil rushes off.
Late for what? Phil! Could you break it down and wrap it out of here by yourself, Larry?
Sure.
Thanks!
Rita rushes after Phil. Exterior street corner day. Phil walks briskly toward an intersection. Glancing nervously at his watch, Rita follows him at a distance, hurrying to keep up. Marie, a little 9-year-old girl, approaches the intersection, shielding her brand new puppy under her winter coat. She isn't paying attention to the traffic and fails to notice a big truck bearing down on her. As she steps off the curb, Phil arrives with split-second timing, nonchalantly but firmly grabs her coat to hold her back, just as the big truck rushes past in the street, narrowly missing her.
Hey, You forget to look both ways. You didn't even look one way.
My doggy was cold.
Yo, my doggies are freezing, but I'm still gonna watch out for cars. See you around, kid.
Phil looks at his watch and rushes off. Rita looks on amazed and follows him at a distance. Interior restaurant. Gesundheit. Phil enters the crowded restaurant and pushes past all the people waiting to be seated. He walks casually but quickly and purposefully around the tables, squeezing past busy waitresses and seated patrons toward a commotion in the back of the restaurant. A woman and her 2 grown children, a son and a daughter, are leaning over her husband, who is prostrate on the floor. It's Buster Green, the Groundhog official, still wearing his tailcoat.
Oh my God, he's having a heart attack.
Somebody please help us.
What do I do? He's not breathing.
He's turning blue. Help!
Phil walks straight up to this scene, pulls Buster up to a sitting position, grabs him from behind in the Heimlich grip, and squeezes sharply. Bolus of food flies across the room. Buster coughs and sputters, then starts breathing again.
Okay, Daddy?
I think that did it.
Phil lets go of the grateful victim.
If you're gonna eat steak, get better teeth, will you? Enjoy the rest of your lunch, folks.
He exits.
Wow, who was that guy?
Phil gets to the door and finds Rita standing there looking at him in awe.
Rita!
Okay, hold it right there. I want to know what's going on, and I want to know right now.
I'm sorry, I'm really pressed right now. Meet me outside the hospital about 4, and we'll talk about it.
The hospital?
Phil looks at his watch and rushes away.
Try the curly Q fries. Killer.
Interior hospital corridor later. A gurney bursts through the double doors. Paramedics and nurses in attendance. The patient is a teenage girl, Janie, totally unconscious. Interior emergency room continuous. The gurney is wheeled into the surgery.
Looks like insulin shock. She's probably diabetic.
Phil enters wearing a doctor's scrub suit and begins barking orders.
She's not diabetic. It's an overdose. Let's get her up here and pump her stomach. Then I want a complete blood workup stat.
Right, Doctor,
She realizes she's never seen him before.
Call me Phil.
Phil, like the groundhog?
Exactly.
Interior children's ward, late afternoon. Sick children in hospital gowns are gathered around Phil, laughing and squealing. Phil is making balloon animals.
Make a giraffe.
A giraffe, let's see. It's just like a dog with a big... What is it?
Neck.
A big tail. A big tail? Okay, a big tail.
Neck.
Big neck.
Phil makes an animal really quickly. Rita watches from the doorway, unseen by Phil.
There, a dog with long legs.
No, long neck.
Long neck.
Oh, right. A dog with a big head.
No.
The kids attack Phil. Lots of rolling around on the bed. Rita watches, completely enthralled. Finally, Phil extricates himself and exits to find Rita waiting.
All right, now what's going on?
Come on, we have to hurry.
Exterior residential street. A little later, Phil rushes down the sidewalk with Rita close behind him. He runs up to an old house and puts his arms out just as a young boy falls off the garage roof and right into Phil's arms, knocking him to the ground. The kid runs off unhurt as Phil gets back to his feet and brushes himself off.
That little bastard has never thanked me once. I'd have just let him fall, teach him a lesson.
Phil, this is too... I must be dreaming.
Yeah, you and me both. Come on, we're almost done.
Exterior alley night. Phil kneels on the cold ground beside the old bum who lies huddled against the wall and over. Rita is standing by at the end of the alley watching as Phil examines him. Phil writes down something on a small pad. He finishes and sets it down by the old man. Then he takes his coat and uses it to cover the man up. A siren is heard. Phil stands and walks away as an ambulance pulls into the alley.
Is he...
Yeah, let's go.
In a minute.
She waits and watches. The paramedics, Bud and Andy, get out of the ambulance and inspect the scene.
It's O'Reilly.
That's a shame.
Look here.
Bud picks up the note Phil left.
Every night by cold bricks glow, I watch the shadow rising from this old man in the snow. At 8:02, we let it go.
At 8:02 we let it go?
Wow, that's nice.
Rita walks away, even more impressed by Phil. Exterior Main Street night. Rita and Phil come to the Pennsylvania in the town's oldest and best hotel.
Now what? Phil, what now?
Oh, come on, you'll see.
They enter. Interior hotel lobby continuous. As Phil and Rita enter, there is music coming from a side room. The black velvet announcement board proclaims Plaza Spot Wedding. Cut to interior party room continuous. Phil and Rita walk into a banquet room decorated with streamers, balloons, and flowers. There is a long buffet table and a punch bowl. Another long table is loaded with wedding gifts. A small band is playing. People are dancing. The wedding party is dressed in rented tuxedos and appropriately poofy bridesmaid dresses.
This is incredible. Whose wedding is this?
Phil grabs 2 glasses of champagne and hands one to Rita.
Oh, just some friends. Doris!
The bride, Doris, young and cheery, is on her way to see Phil. She is dragging Fred, her groom, with her.
Hi, Mr. Connors. Come on, Fred.
Hi.
This is the guy I told you about.
No way.
How's it going, Fred?
Hey, I'd like to thank you for making Doris go through with this.
Are you kidding? Don't buy that playing hard to get stuff. She's crazy about you, you stud.
Really glad you could come.
Congratulations.
Phil reaches into his pocket, pulls out 2 tickets, and hands them to Doris.
What is this? Oh, no. No way. No way. Oh, my God.
Doris throws herself on Fred and jumps up and down. Fred grabs the tickets.
WrestleMania? No way! No way!
Doris throws herself on Phil.
How did you know?
We're like gonna be in Pittsburgh anyway.
I don't know, I just thought about you two. Tried to picture what you'd want more than anything in the world, and it came to me, bing! WrestleMania.
Thanks, Mr. Connors. You're a real pal.
This is the best.
Dora gives Phil a kiss. She and Fred move on.
I don't understand. You rush from one person to the next in a town you only visit once a year. You know everything before it happens. And you, I don't know, you seem to be Puxatawny's leading citizen.
Band finishes a set. The guests stop dancing and head for the refreshments. Phil and Rita are left alone for the moment.
What do you want to know?
Who are you?
I really don't know.
No, there's something going on with you.
Okay, I wake up in Punxsutawney on February 2nd every day. It's supernatural. I don't even try to explain it anymore, so I live each day as if it's the only day I've got.
Rita stares into his eyes for a very long time, but sees only good, true things.
That's pretty amazing.
You want to know what's really amazing? I've been waiting for you every day for 10,000 years. I dream of you every night of my life. You've been my constant weapon against total despair. Just knowing you exist has kept me alive. How's that?
Rita can't even speak. This is clearly the nicest thing anybody has ever said to anybody. Mary, the piano teacher, notices Phil.
Phil, this is the guy.
Hello, Mary. Rita, this is one of Punxsy's finest musicians.
Give me a break. You should talk. Why don't you play something?
No, I...
Please.
Well,
Hey, Mr. Connors, go for it.
Phil looks at Rita. She nods and shrugs. Phil walks up to the platform and sits at the piano. He begins to play a slow Serious classical piece. Everyone falls silent. It's so beautiful. Rita is almost in tears. Then, after a pause to let the serious notes sink in, Phil transforms the piece into a fast, lively, upbeat jazz romp. Everyone is delighted, and as the rest of the band kicks in, everyone grabs a partner and begins to dance. An old coot, Uncle Leo, grabs Rita, and the two of them dance up a storm.
That's a great guy you've got there. Dr. Connors fixed my back today, you know?
Dr. Connors?
Rita looks over at Phil, joyously playing the piano. Exterior street, night. It is snowing lightly. Phil and Rita are walking slowly, arm in arm, close. They stop and embrace. Phil looks at Rita. She looks like an angel.
Wait, don't move.
Phil scoops up some snow and begins packing it down, furiously, joyously, then rolling it into a large ball.
Making a snowman? I'll help.
No, stay there. Stand right there.
Phil lifts the now larger chunk of packed snow and sets it on a mailbox. Then he looks at her and starts to sculpt it. Later, Phil is using a stick and the heat of his bare hands to model a delicate fold in the snow sculpture. Several bystanders look on with interest as Phil stands back from his work.
Can I look?
Okay, look.
It is an excellent likeness of Rita, the snow white as alabaster, pure as marble, a beautiful and delicate homage.
Nobody's ever done anything like this for me. Not even a drawing. It's beautiful.
Well, this is how I see you. When it all gets too much, I just close my eyes and there you are. Just like this. Take it home and keep it in the freezer.
Rita embraces Phil. They're about to kiss, looking deep into each other's eyes.
This one's for the Frog Prince.
What?
Nothing.
They kiss, a long, deep, soul-stirring kiss.
Will you come with me?
Rita nods. They continue standing there, embracing, warming each other in the cold night air.
We're just gonna leave her?
It doesn't matter. Really, it doesn't.
They kiss again. Close up. The clock. The digital clock radio changes from 5:59 to 6. I got you, babe. Starts playing. Phil opens his eyes, feeling more hurt than ever.
Not again.
Can't get enough of Cher.
Yeah, but that's way too much of Sony. Sonny.
Phil sits up in bed as the DJs continue this new banter. He looks around the room. Things are different, messier. Then he sees the covers move. Wide-eyed now, he looks over and sees Rita waking up, snuggling deep under the covers.
It's not true. It's not. It can't be true. Rita? Rita?
Morning.
Phil pounces on Rita, showering her with kisses.
You're here. My God, I can't believe you're here.
Glad to see you too.
No, it's happened. Don't you get it? It's tomorrow. Listen.
Still shoveling out the highways, but if you're walking, it's a beautiful day.
Yeah, the snow kind of cleaned everything up.
Except your mouth.
Phil kisses the radio.
I love these guys.
Are you always this jolly in the morning?
Phil runs to the window and looks out. His POV, the street is virtually empty. Town just waking up. Kids are throwing snowballs. Interior, Phil's room, continuous.
No Groundhog Rita. They're all gone.
You must have had some dream.
Phil stops, thinks.
Did I just dream it?
Phil opens the door and runs into the hallway wearing only pajama bottoms.
Phil! Phil!
Rita sits up in bed and waits. Suddenly, from somewhere else in the inn comes the sound of Phil at the piano, expertly playing a difficult classical piece. He stops after a few bars.
Yeah.
Phil runs back into the room.
It really happened. You're really here.
He pounces on Rita again.
You're really actually here.
I'm here. I'm here.
They kiss passionately, hungrily.
Let's go.
He scoops her up in his arms.
Where are we going?
Anywhere, everywhere.
Interior breakfast room. Later, Phil and Rita, dressed now, enter and encounter Mrs. Lancaster. Phil hugs her.
Oh my.
Florence, say hello to Rita. She loves me.
I'm not surprised.
He kisses her on the cheek and rushes out with Rita. Exterior, the street, day. Phil and Rita walk down Main Street hand in hand.
Bill, good morning. Mr. Connors, I wanted to thank you.
That's all right. I would have.
A florist steps out of a flower shop with a bouquet.
Phil, here, I want you to have these.
Thanks, Carl.
Phil smells the flowers and hands the bouquet to Rita.
And so began my final lifetime and ended the longest winter on record. I would find myself no longer able to affect the chain of events in this town, but I did learn something about time. You can waste time, you can kill time, you can do time, but if you use it wisely, there's never enough of it. So you'd better make the most of the time you've got.
A car skids on the ice and smashes into a tree. Phil and Rita rush over to help, but the driver waves that he's okay. Rita and Phil continue to walk.
Larry never got through the blizzard, so none of my Groundhog reports ever made it on the air. But Rita and I, we lived happily ever after.
Phil and Rita walk off together. Across the street, Larry is trying to get rid of Ned Ryerson, is doggedly trying to sell him insurance.
But Phil told me you were his accountant.
Look, I told you, he's nuts!
Larry keeps trying to walk away, but Ned won't let him leave.
Look, let me just tell you about a single premium life, all right? It's super easy. It'll get you all taken care of.
Finally, Larry slugs Ned and storms off, leaving Ned floundering in a snowbank. Phil and Rita walk on as we pull up and away from Main Street, revealing the whole of Punxsutawney and the snowy countryside that embraces it. The end.
Oh my God. That was so much fun. Thank you guys
Welcome.
so much for doing this.
That was awesome.
Thank you all for watching if you are watching, and I'm